So
Yeah,
I'm very grateful.
we got to turn June around, man. On this Garrett Wilson thing.
You
I'm
know,
Mark. I
I
know there's more positive. I know there's more pressing needs. But when we talk about football, I cannot get on the same page with him with this. I can't.
Pete, I have so much more to say about Garrett Wilson, and I would say it sounded to me. I don't want to say it while he's not in here, but it sounds to me like Garrett Wilson took June's lunch money. Except knowing June like I do, nobody takes June's lunch money. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't. This doesn't make sense to me because okay, you have a young quarterback. What are the things that you would let's imagine they're moving on from Rodgers, so which means that the whole package deal is gone. Rodgers is gone, Lazard's gone, Adams is gone, presumably, right? What are the elements that the next quarterback, a young quarterback, will need to be successful? The list is pretty short, but near the top of the list, if not at the top of the list, is a number one wide receiver, right? You want a wide receiver. You want a quality pass catching tight end over the seam because they're most visible. I mean, this is classic football knowledge, right? You need a tight end. You want a franchise left tackle. Check that box. I think Fashanu is it, right? And then you need to run a game. You have Brees Hall and the Jets drafted two guys last year. Like those are the pieces you need for your young quarterback to stand a chance. All right. Garrett Wilson is one of those pieces. And what you want a young quarterback throwing to Irv Charles? He's not even under contract next year, right? He's done. I think.
Mark,
So,
I'm talking to you on mute. That's crazy.
uh,
Mark, if they get rid of Adams and do June's way, their starting wide receivers will be Irv Charles, who's a free agent, and it's Xavier Gibson and Malachi Corley.
yeah,
And
Malachi's not ready.
good luck with moving the ball 5 yards.
Yeah, and that person's gonna get the same treatment that other young quarterbacks get, which is man, they're not developing. Other guys bust, doesn't work. I mean, come on. You need key elements if you're going to try and run a successful offense. Because I don't want to be at a point where we're reliant on the defense to hold teams under 16 points for the Jets to win football games. Like it's not tenable. Not in today's NFL. It's not. So I don't know where he's going with it. Um, and I think they have a lot of. I think I said it yesterday. I think the league consensus is that this is a talented roster that's poorly coached.
Yep. Uh, Mark, I think the talent's a little overrated though, but when you have guys, Mark, this is a perfect example. Like and I'm not comparing any coach, like Bill Parcells. He drafted Jason Ferguson in the seventh round, a defensive tackle, and he was great with Parcells.
Mm-hmm.
Parcells had all these guys, Dave Zott, all these guys, Maurice Carthon, you know, Meggett, all these guys, that they all turned into guys because of Parcells. I'm not saying that Vrabel's that guy, but a good coach can turn players around, and that's
Yes,
what we need. Meek,
a
by
good
the way,
coach too, Pete.
yeah.
Oh, good.
Well, Meek, thank you for your contribution yesterday, man. It's greatly appreciated, bro.
Really appreciate it.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Meek. I don't know if you could talk, but
No, no, you're good. It's the least I could do. Mark, it takes a real man to go through what you're going through and ask for help. So
I really appreciate that. Um,
and I
the
saw the update pictures. I'm that's awesome. I don't know you personally, Mark, but your daughter's beautiful. I'm glad she looks like your wife.
yeah, me too. I mean, if it were me with a wig on, I don't know what we would have raised, right? But yeah, it's big. It's a big deal. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
PD, Mark caught my Tomlin,
Uh oh, I'll
my
go on
my
mute.
Tomlin argument yesterday.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, I think so. It'll go. We'll do it another time.
No,
It'll get
no.
the space really going.
That's that's that. I'm waiting for June, man.
He's too funny, man. He like won't admit he just wants everyone gone, and then he finally admits it.
Yeah.
He's finding reasons to get him off the team. It's like I don't understand. In my mind, that's a guy you build around, not a guy you show the door.
Did
And
you guys watch? Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Did you guys watch that game last night?
I watched a little, but I've been sick,
Man,
man.
that
I've been trying to. I finally got like 10 hours of sleep, man.
damn that helps. But
Yeah,
the tight end on Penn State is incredible.
yeah. They're saying
I
he's going to
know
be a top 5 to 7 pick.
I know you guys are probably tired of tight end talk, but oh my god.
What's up, boys? Good morning.
Morning.
What's up, man?
What's going on? Mark, just want to wish you well. Hope everything works out for you, bud.
I appreciate that. Um, uh, Yesterday morning, I sprung it on Pete yesterday morning that my wife and I started to GoFundMe, and then later on in the day, you messaged me, and I appreciate that. And then I talked to Frank, and then Nick caught wind of it, and Nick shared it with Frank, and then they posted it on U Stadium, and that was a huge benefit. We saw a huge leap. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
Mark.
the
I
numbers are wild.
I DM'd them both and I said this is much bigger than sports.
I appreciate it.
This is
Um,
Yeah,
the community can do a lot of good when it needs to, and now it's time to do good.
jokes. I'll say my piece a little bit later, but
Yeah, you don't
I
have
would.
to. I
I
just wanted
know.
to come in
No,
here
no,
and just
no. I was blown
wish you
away,
well.
bro. I was blown
Thank you.
away because Mark showed me. I had no idea. I woke up and I had to wipe the cold out my eye. I'm trying to be funny here. And I saw the message and I opened it from Mark and I'm like, I almost dropped my phone. I didn't even
Yeah,
know. And
every kid deserves an opportunity.
yeah, and
Every single kid.
jokes. I speak to Mark frequently, like,
Yeah.
and
No, I got it.
I saw this and I'm just like, Mark, of course you could share this. Oh my God. And
Yeah.
and listen, I just do what I do. I show up every day and the community did his thing. That's, I shared it
Yeah,
and spoke about it.
there are times when people need to pull together, and I feel like this is one of them. So, if you need anything, Mark, reach out.
Thank you. I'm really floored. I mean, um, I took a screenshot before all this kind of started, and from our family, we had some $5,200 raised and like 27 donations. I'm looking at the screenshot right now. After what everybody did, and looking at it this morning, there's nearly 16K raised. It's almost 11,000 more with 116 individual donations. Folks gave as little as like $5, and then all the way up to Michael was very generous and gave $600. Like I, I'm floored. I'm floored by um, my wife was overwhelmed. She's like, "What?" And I said this before you got in here, joke. She's seen me be on the phone and argue with people about the Jets in the morning, and is like, "What in the world are you doing?" And then, now seeing this sort of good, I was like, you know what? I think I need to go on there tomorrow again and thank everybody. And she's like, "Of course you do. Get on the space and talk about the Jets." I was like, I don't know if I never expect my wife to be saying something like that.
Let's just put it this way: I think that I think it's good and it's healthy that people disagree on a lot of things because if everybody agreed on everything, it would just be boring. But
Yes.
I think the one thing that we can all agree on is, and I told you, it hits home to me. I got two kids.
Hmm.
And as a parent, you always want your kid to have a better opportunity than you ever did.
Hmm.
So every child deserves that chance. So if I can, like I said to you, if I can help out any other way, I will. And hope all goes well.
I appreciate
Thanks,
that.
man.
I really do. And I've told folks sharing, even if folks aren't, folks that are not given, I get it. Everyone's in a different financial situation. That folks are sharing this with their own networks. We never know who we know. Like that's the only other thing I guess I ask is that folks, share this because you never know. One retweet and we're home. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
Neil, by the way, I saw at U Stadium just posted Abdul Carter's entering the draft. To me, I'm
He's a
set.
beast.
I'm set at number 7, either Carter or
Bro,
the
that was
or T
impressive yesterday.
or T Mac. That's where
I
I'm at
know.
right now as a Jet fan. But I
I
don't
know
know
you guys
anything.
didn't. PD, you said you watched a little bit, but he had a bad left shoulder, so they were just putting him on the left side only, so that his left shoulder was on the outside, and he was dominating. And then late in the game, he got kind of someone fell on him, and he fell on the shoulder.
Oh no, I
But he
fell
was good.
asleep
He I
for
mean he
that one.
probably had 4 sacks. I think he had 2 called back for penalty.
Yeah. Neil, go ahead, jump in.
No, I
Morning.
just want to send my best wishes to Mark. And his daughter and his family. Where I live in Maryland, I run all the youth sports programs, and we do something called the Community Quarter. So I'm going to put a link and on our email blast that we send out next week, and that will hit about anywhere from 7 to 8,000 email addresses. So I'm going to make sure that that's included in it. It might be a lot of $5, $10 donations, but it all adds up. So I will take care of doing that for you next week, man. And I think it's great that you can reach out to the community. I still think you're crazy that you thought Mike White was better than Tua, and we've disagreed on stuff, Mark. But at the end of the day, that's sports talk. We're all men with families, man. And I think that one of the best parts about a good community is the ability to come together and accomplish things, man. So all the prayers, if there's anything else I can do personally, man, like don't hesitate to reach out. My hand is raised to help you, man. So keep fighting the good fight, man. And she's absolutely beautiful, man. And I thought yesterday was pretty touching myself, man. My aunt went through stage 4 cancer, and she's healthy now. I did a similar thing, and you never know who's going to come out of the woodworks. And I can't share his name because he asked me not to. But one Baltimore Raven football player literally donated $25,000 to my aunt. So
Wow.
so there is generosity out there, man, and we all care. But Mark, awesome work, man. Keep us posted on how everything goes, man. And Petey, you're right. Abdul Carter yesterday, what a performance with one shot. I don't know if he's fallen to 7 anymore. He might be going top 5.
Now the next convo though is, man, Aller was brutal.
Awful.
I mean,
Yeah, terrible.
it was like, wow.
All right,
Neil, by the way,
wait,
thank you
wait,
again
wait.
for sharing and
Mark,
your
can I
kind
say,
words. Yeah, please.
before you get emotional, what was worse, Drew Hour last night or Mark Torres's take on Mike White and Tua?
Oh my God.
Still
Well,
Mark, but
well,
he was bad.
I think I'm the college quarterback curse. I pumped up Jalen Milroe, and then he threw a dud out there. My wife is a Penn State alum. It's her 40th birthday next month, so I was going to buy her tickets to the national championship. But Penn State looked like they were heading in. I said something like that, and then the wheels fell off. So if a quarterback, I'm just going to start keeping my quarterback comments to myself because I feel like I
Yeah,
might be the
Neil.
curse.
Neil, if James, you're not the curse. You're not the curse, man. Jalen Miro is playing in a Michael Penix. Is literally playing in a system that's really only good for a Michael Penix archetype of quarterback. And then Penn State has James Franklin. Like, I'm it's just not. It's
No,
not going anywhere.
I hear you on the Franklin stuff, but I thought he was good yesterday. They ran the ball really well. They got the tight ends involved. I
Um,
mean,
I'm sorry, man. You 20. I mean, I listen. Drew Aller threw it was one of the worst interceptions you'll see. You're up 24-17, man, with 2:36 in the game. You gotta close. You gotta finish it. You gotta close it.
well,
You
well,
gotta
yeah.
close the game out.
They let up a touchdown, but I mean, eh, that happens. I mean, I'm just saying, like Franklin did a really nice. His quarterback played
But
about as bad as you could
but that
possibly
but that's
play.
that's the critique. But that's the critique on James Franklin. When was the
That
last
his
When was the
that
last time they had a great quarterback?
that's the projected first round quarterback. Sharts the bed in the biggest game. He was good all year. He had didn't he, how many touchdowns did he have?
Like I think 19, 20.
I mean,
I mean
before the game,
he's
people were
been
talking about
okay.
him going third overall. And then he throws.
well.
I mean, Jarek, that was one of the worst interceptions you could see in a football game. I mean, I don't play football, and I know you
I
don't
mean,
throw across your.
yeah. I mean, I get it, man. But you're it's 24-17. Notre
I
Dame
I
lost
just
they
but
lost two
but
offensive linemen in the game.
but what's the head? It was they had a great game plan. They got the tight ends involved. They ran the shit out of the football. The quarterback sucked. What's he supposed to do?
I don't know.
They had the Jarek. They
Defensively,
had the
you
ball.
got figure it out. It's 236. Riley Leonard is having a shitty game. You got to figure it. They got
Yeah,
two
I
backup
mean,
tackles in the game. You got to
I
figure it
get it.
out.
I get it, but I mean, like you're acting like the defense played
No,
horrible.
no,
They
no,
didn't.
no. They didn't play terrible.
Aller,
But
the whole
what
team. Who honestly, who played bad on Penn State besides Aller? I don't know.
I would
The
say the
running backs were
receivers
amazing.
couldn't get separation.
Yeah, the running backs were amazing.
Yep, the receivers couldn't. I mean, Tyler Warren was awesome, but the receivers couldn't. The receivers couldn't get any sort of separation. It was to a point where Notre Dame started to make adjustments and they started to play cover one robber. They were playing that shit a lot because
Yeah,
the receivers couldn't get
and Penn
separation.
State was scoring the ball. They were finding ways to score the ball.
Yeah, through the ground game.
Yeah, Aller was terrible, bro.
I agree.
I just don't. For me, I don't put that on
He was
James
terrible,
Franklin.
but so was Riley Leonard. They both were terrible. That was some of the worst quarterback I've seen this year from both.
The MVP was Angeli.
Yeah, I thought it should have been.
I think Buckeye is going to be a happy man in the next week. That's what I think.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
dude. Yeah, they're gonna win the national championship, and I can't believe I hate Ohio State with a burning passion. I think their fans are some of the most egregious in sports. But
Wow.
Neil, there is something we're forgetting though. Neil, there is, and I bet Ohio State already tonight, but you know,
OH.
they do have the Ryan Day effect. They could just not play
if they
tonight.
lose to Texas, you need to fire Ryan Day. If you lose to Texas, this is not a good. I mean, listen, their defense is great. They're a very talented bunch. Quinn Ewers sucks. If you lose to Texas, you got to fire Ryan Day. You can't have a $20 million roster with all these All Americans, and you can't do it. You can. This is not. You cannot lose this game. You're not going to have a better opportunity than this year to win the national championship.
What's the NIL spend in Texas? I'm just curious.
16 million.
16. Okay. Huge difference.
It's not a Buckeye. You have how many All Americans do you have on your team?
Listen, have we been taking care of business? Yes or no?
Yes, you've been yes. That's why you need to win. You
Did
need to
did
win the
did did,
game.
did we take Oregon and just like dispose of them, making them look like a putrid high
Yes.
school team? Okay,
That's why you need to win the game. You
that's
lose the
okay.
game, you need to Ryan Day needs to be fired. He needs to go.
Yeah,
He's got to go.
I like Jade Barron and Andrew Makuba in the back end of Texas secondary, but I think they're in for a long night with Jeremiah Smith and
Yep.
Emeka Egbuka. Jeremiah
Buka,
Smith,
Carnell Tate.
I think Smith's the best wide receiver prospect from a physical tool standpoint since Calvin Johnson. He's just
Is he the really young one?
yeah, he's like a one of one type player, and
He's 17, right?
yeah,
You think he's better than Julio Jones?
mm, I think he's on par.
I think so too. I think he's on par.
I think he's on
I think
par.
tonight's going to be Jack Sawyer's night.
Yeah, Buckeye, he's working himself up the draft board, huh? 2 sacks last game. Um, I think from an NFL standpoint, he's probably past JT Tuamala at that point as
Agreed.
a prospect.
Agreed.
And I know he doesn't get a lot of gaudy sacks, but if you're looking for a physical ass kicker in the trenches, Tyleik Williams is a beast.
Yeah, I think John Vogel brought him up yesterday, Tyleik Williams, or Will.
Yeah, he reminds me of like a Baltimore Ravens guy, like a guy they draft like like a Matabuki, a Michael Pierce, a guy that kind of goes under the radar, and then you look back 5 years later and you're like, how the hell did they get that guy? That's the kind of player he
Yeah, Wed
reminds me of.
Wit Matabuke came out of nowhere, man. But that's
Texas
Baltimore.
A&M third round
Yeah,
pick,
but
right?
that's what Baltimore does, Neil. And
Well, Petey,
we
we joke about our teams a lot, but
yeah,
that's
we
like we
can't
talk.
do that. We don't
Yeah,
do that.
neither of our teams find talent after like day 2. You know what I mean? Like, and we have hard enough time finding talent on day 1 and day 2. But like, we don't find like I can speak for the Dolphins. Like, sure, Devon A-Chain was a really good pick in the 3rd round a couple years back, but other than that, man, like, we don't find good like. And a lot of times, Baltimore and Pittsburgh and these teams, they hit on good trench players in like the third, fourth, fifth round. And then you look back and these guys are getting paid $15 million a year when they're free agents. Like, I can't remember the last. I mean, Zach Sealer was a good find for Miami, but he came off Baltimore's practice squad. We didn't draft him. Like that's how you win, man. Finding guys in the trenches, developing them in the right way, and then having a system where you can burn and turn through those players, and it's next man up, and it works, man. I mean, I'll say this
Yep.
though, a hot take I have is I think the Ravens are going to get upset tomorrow night here in Baltimore. No Zay Flowers is a big loss.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like you said. I was just about to ask you, what do you think? What do you think Pittsburgh does to try to stop some of their RPO based attacks? And obviously Zay Flowers is gone, but the Steelers. What do you think that they're going to do? You think they're going to be more aggressive? You think they're going to start to add a lot more three linebacker sets and start to kind of load up the box a little bit more often now that Zay is gone?
Yeah, I think they're going to definitely load up the box a little bit more. I mean, I can tell you right now, I just took my dog for a walk. It's 16 degrees here in Baltimore today. It's cold, man. It's you hit your finger on your car door and it hurts, you know. So I think the Steelers are going to make Lamar feel it when they hit him. And we're going to have to see Lamar take that evolution as a passer, right? Like you're going to have to see him make some plays without his best receiver. It's kind of weird, like so when Joe Flacco and the Ravens were here, and I'm a Dolphins fan, full disclosure, but typically when it's the playoffs, the Dolphins aren't around. So I'll buy playoff tickets to go to the Ravens Steelers and stuff like that because it's a fun game and it's a good atmosphere and I just like football. Those tickets used to be anywhere from $350 to $500 for one seat in the playoffs. They're down now. Like you can go get a ticket for $100. This game is not sold out yet. It's kind of ironic, like because Baltimore has a really, really strong home rabid fan base. They really do. And the Steelers, they're the best traveling fan base in football. I'm interested to see what the dynamic is because I feel like a lot of Steelers fans have the advantage for cheap to come down to Baltimore and kind of take over. And I'm interested to see if that happens. I mean, you will definitely have purple in the crowd. They're always passionate, but like this game does not have the buzz that a typical Ravens Steelers game does here. It really doesn't. Like to know that you can go on and get $95 for a playoff ticket right now, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's
Um,
insane, Neil. Neil, let me
yeah,
just say one thing, guys. If that's the home game, that I want the Jets game to be overseas next year because I know the Jets have a game overseas counted as home. The Steelers just invade MetLife Stadium, man. It's like 70-30 the other way. So Neil, that's a good point, man. They travel like the
yeah, and if
towels are everywhere.
Oh, it's crazy. And if you stack this is the game to stack the box, right? Because the two best way the Ravens can hurt you really are, with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson's legs. Like Mark Andrews has gotten hot at the end of the year, but if I'm them, I'm sticking Minka Fitzpatrick on Andrews, and Andrews plays a lot in the slot, and then I'm stacking the box. I mean, Pittsburgh has three good downhill linebackers: Landon Roberts, Patrick Queen, and the rookie out of NC State, Peyton Wilson. They have the guys that can play sideline to sideline. Cameron Hayward, even though he's getting up there, he still plays good in the trenches. The kid they drafted from the second round out of Wisconsin, Keontae Benton, I mean, he's starting to play good. Where the Steelers are very vulnerable, I think, is at cornerback. I mean, the Ravens are going in there with Rashad Bateman. If you remember, they traded for Deontay Johnson. It didn't work out, so they ended up cutting him. They're going to have wide receivers like Tylan Wallace, Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Walker. Like Lamar is not going to be throwing to great wide receivers. Knowing the Ravens, they'll probably yin and yang a little bit there, where they'll probably incorporate a little bit more Isaiah Likely with some more two tight end sets. And Likely's a really good player that kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But I think the Steelers are definitely limited at quarterback. But if I was the coach, what I would do is I would have some certain packages for Justin Fields and see if his legs can help them win this game. And if he gets hot, maybe I ride that because when they played Baltimore a couple weeks ago, and it was a fight. It was a dog fight, and then Russell Wilson was running in within the 10-yard line and Ardarius Washington came up and rocked him, and he fumbled the ball, and the Ravens got it, and then the Ravens took advantage of that momentum and kind of took care of business after that fact. But I don't have a lot of faith in Russell Wilson. I think he looks
Yeah,
pedestrian, and that's
neither do
being
I.
nice. So like I would say if you could catch some lightning in a bottle with Justin Fields, it's a dangerous game to play,
Yeah,
but
but what do you think Tomlin has the guts to do it, Neil?
I do, and I'm not at practice every day. Like I don't know what Justin Fields has shown them. Like so, I think that they like Russell Wilson because he historically hasn't been prone to making the big mistake. But in this 4-game losing streak that they've had, I think he has been making the big mistake. But the matchup to watch in this game, I think, is T.J. Watt against the rookie right tackle Roger Rosengarten. And Roger Rosengarten is a great dude. There's a place up here called the Butler Cabin. He came up here and literally covered the whole Bars tab like a month ago, and it was, I was there for 7 hours watching football. So when he did it, I was like, hell yeah, man, that's my guy. But I think he's in for a long night. And on the other side, they have Alex Highsmith, who will be, against an aging Ronnie Stanley. If the way you get Lamar is you contain him with two good, strong edge rushers and force him inside. And the Steelers do have, and historically, outside of the last game, Lamar has struggled against the Steelers defense to an extent. Like this
Yeah, but
game to
didn't they
me
kill
has
them last game?
they did, but it was neck and neck until that fumble when Russell Wilson fumbled, and then and the Steelers also didn't have George Pickens in that game, which was a big loss for them. And he'll be back. The last time I saw Pickens on the field, though, it looked like he wasn't
Is
focused as
this
much as
Pickens'
you
third
typically
year
would.
or fourth year?
I think it's his
Third,
third.
right? Well, he was a
Yeah, I
later
think.
pick, so he doesn't have an option for fifth year.
Nah, so yeah, and they need receiver help outside of him. Who's been playing really well for Pittsburgh lately, though, is the tight end Fryermuth.
Oh,
He's starting to really he's starting to really ingrain himself as an upper echelon tight end. Steelers offensive line, though, like if they lose this game, it's going to be because Justin Matabuki, Travis Jones, and Michael Pierce eat up that Steelers defense. I mean offensive line.
wait, Neil, who was the after Heath Miller? Heath Miller. Who was the tight end after Heath Miller before Fryermuth? Did they have one
Let
or
me
no?
think. They had to have one because Miller's been retired for a few years. I'm drawing a blank. I mean, I know now they also have Darnell Washington, who's
Yeah,
the unicorn out of Georgia,
I
and they
just
also actually have.
I just hated when Heath. Because I didn't like Big Ben when Pittsburgh was so good with Big Ben. You know, they were a thorn in the
He was
Jet.
clutch.
They were a thorn in the Jet side too. Back when the Jets were at least good for 2 years. What a joke!
He Big Ben was clutch, man. Like I'll give him that. Like he never looked like I mean, obviously he was the size of quarterback, but he didn't look like that golden boy passing quarterback. Yet in those big games when the moments got big, like he did rise. I mean, he wasn't a fast guy, but he could take a hit, get out of the pocket, and make some throws on the run. Like I wasn't a fan of him, obviously, for a lot of the stuff that happened off the field. But as a football player, man, I hated playing Big Ben because you knew your best pass rusher might get there, but you didn't have a lot of confidence that your best pass rusher would bring him down.
He Josh Allen reminds me. Well, that's who reminds me of Big Ben.
So Petey, you're on the Tet McMillan to the Jets of 7 bandwagon. Is that your pool right
Yeah,
now?
but I'm not going to get my way. I never get my way.
But so that would be considering they kept Garrett and then Aaron and Devontae left,
Yep.
right? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's a good complement to Garrett Wilson, and I know June's not in here, so I don't want to. Getting rid of Garrett Wilson to me is the one thing that I've heard that doesn't make any sense for the Jets. Like Sauce Gardner, I still don't think that makes a lot of sense. But like I can actually see like the other side of it. Garrett Wilson to me is the Jets' best player, hands down, and like he's a building block. He's not. When you go through a rebuild, and I think it's because we're all fans, and some of us played Madden, and it's always great to load up on first round picks and build your roster. But the reality of it is I think too many fans think that just because you have a first round pick, you're going to knock it out of the park. Like GMs miss, like in 2020 we had 3. We took Tua, Austin Jackson, and Noah Igbenogany. And Igbenogany's playing good ball for Washington, but he was dog shit for the Dolphins. Austin Jackson's a pedestrian at best, middle of the pack right tackle in my opinion. He's flashed some better than that, but law of averages there. So it's like just because you get first round picks, like to get a first round pick in this draft class and think you're going to get a wide receiver on par with Garrett Wilson, it's not going to happen. Even at the top of the class, I think Ted McMillan has a lot of Mike Evans to his game. Rangy, kind of long arms, high points the football, can win on a contested catch. But I don't think, he's going to be a better player than what we've seen out of Garrett Wilson. So I don't get that logic. And I've heard you say this, Petey, but Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, those are the building blocks, and you can pay them because you're not going to be paying a quarterback right now.
Correct.
So the way I would do it is build the best roster you can. So in 2026, when you go into the draft and you draft a quarterback, he gets thrown into an ideal situation where there's good protection on the offensive line and there's good receiving options on the outside. Like to give your quarterback, the help to be successful. That's what a good organization does. Like I don't know, man. Like to get a quarterback this year and surround him with a bunch of other young players, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And we'll know more about what they do once they get a coach hire. Like where are they, PD, on that? Like is it Vrabel looks like he's heading to New
No
England
idea.
or
They
the
just
Ravens?
completed with Glenn. Who knows?
Do you want Glenn?
Can I jump in on this one?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark. I think the Jets are going to mess. I don't think they're going to nail this head coaching thing right. It's just how I think about the Jets. And sorry, guys, if I'm Mr. Negative, but they're not going to get it right.
I think you're right, Pete. And I think Vrabel was my first choice for the role for a lot of reasons. But one of the main reasons is I think that they need a front office that is insulated from the owner, where the owner can just own and let the football people handle football decisions. And Vrabel, in my mind, is a made man. Like when the Texans moved off him, I was scratching my head. I'm like, really? With this guy? I'm shocked that New England didn't hire Vrabel in their first hiring cycle for a head coach.
Me too.
Right? So I think with my problem with how the 33rd team is going about this search, I was actually talking about this a little bit yesterday with Nick and company, that they're casting a really wide net. It's almost like they're being paid by the interview in terms of how many people that they're talking to. One of my concerns with that is that there are 2 concerns. The first being, with this wide net, we know that the GM and head coach, I don't want that to be necessarily a fresh marriage. I would rather that the GM and head coach have a relationship and already understand. I don't want them learning on the job how it works. We had that in New York with Rex Ryan and Idzik, and it was a colossal failure. It was toxic. They were fighting with each other. There was infighting. It was a joke. I don't know if that led to the Idzik 12, but it was a disaster it set the team back. It was a disaster. I would rather that the GM and head coach have a relationship. The second part that concerns me is that is it true that there are offensive coordinators that are actively turning down a Jets head coaching job? And part of that, I think, has to do with the ownership. And that's a major concern because now you can't necessarily gun for. If ownership was beyond reproach, you could say, you know what, hire a young gun OC, take a shot, go where the league is heading, put that guy in the head coaching role, pair that head coach up with a quarterback, and go and run. I don't think they can do that. I think that because of owner, I think that the clock will start real fast. I'll have a super short grace period, and then before you know it, things will go off the rails and expectations for a young quarterback and all that. We've been through all that already. So my second choice then is Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, I like scenario. Glenn. I like Glenn.
I think the Jets are going to be forced into hiring a defensive. I've been thinking about this. I think they're going to be forced into hiring a defensive-minded head coach. I think some folks are thinking, okay, well, Aaron Glenn's going to be like solid 2.0. I strongly disagree. I think the big difference between Saleh and Glenn is that not only is Glenn a former player, he's also a former player for the Jets. Like, that's good. But the fact that he's a former player, I think it's the biggest difference. I think his ability to relate and hold folks. Like, there's a clip floating around of him on Hard Knocks in 2022 talking to his defense about them giving up like 13 to 15 or something like that on passing. He's like, this, I won't, go ahead and watch the clip. Like, I think Glenn, between that and the pivot interview, I'm like, I think this guy is good, but he needs to be paired with a quality OC. And for folks that are saying that a defensive minded head coach can't get it done, or that's not what you want to do, or the OC is going to get snatched up, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, look at what's happening with D'Amico Ryans in Houston. Like, they made it work. And then also for folks that absolutely want an offensive coordinator as head coach, like, think about the Ben Johnson scenario. I know everyone's falling all over themselves for Ben Johnson, but if the guy's an introvert and not necessarily a natural leader, like, some folks should just be an OC. No one's falling all over themselves to give Josh McDaniels a head coaching position. You know what I mean? Like, some folks are just great offensive coordinators.
Mark, I love what you
So
said there. I love what you said right there because, like, when you look at it, it's like people ask me what went wrong with the Dolphins, and to me, it's quarterback availability and Mike McDaniel. First 2 years, I was excited about the prospects of Mike McDaniel. Last year, I thought he was a bottom five coach in football. His play calling was horrific, especially in short down situations. But why I think Miami called him is because when you look at the supply and demand of the head coaches that are available in the job openings, there's not so many. And I know a lot of people jump on and are like Ben Johnson, but like he's a great offensive coordinator, but his personality is unique, right? Like if we're being honest, his personality is unique. That might not lend him to being a great head coach, and I don't want to write the guy off. I wish him anything but success, but I think Mike Vrabel was the only slam dunk candidate that's really available. But I do like Aaron Glenn for the Jets because I do think it matters when you're a part of something. Like, when you go back to my school and, I helped coach the defense. Like, that was awesome because I had, blood and sweat equity into the program. And I think Aaron Glenn has that. But Aaron Glenn, you hear the cliche leader of men, but he is that. And he has way more marbles than Rob Saleh does. Rob Saleh seemed to me like he was a good old boy, like he wanted to get along with people, just like Mike McDaniel. Maybe they're really good coaches, but like Aaron Glenn seems like the kind of guy that'll get up in your face, give you shit, and if you're not doing what he wants you to do, he'll replace you. So I'm glad you said that about Ben Johnson because I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh, Ben Johnson's the best." Like, I don't know. I don't know that. He's a great offensive play caller. Detroit has a loaded roster. They have a really great front office, a really strong coaching staff. I'm not necessarily sure that he's going to be this slam dunk head coach that everyone thinks he is going to be.
might be talent dependent. And again, I think it's about leader. At the end of the day, it's about leadership. And I think for folks, because we've been talking about, there are folks that really want Rex Ryan to be the next head coach, and they're like, well, we've seen what Rex has done. Rex seems invested. He loves the Jets and he wants the team to win. You know what? I would take that part of Rex and invest that instead in Aaron Glenn because I think
Yeah.
he's got that, but he also is a recent guy. He hasn't been out of the league. And let's not kid ourselves. When you're a head coach, a lot of that job is building staff, effective staff that understand and can execute the vision of what you're trying to do.
Mark,
And
can I?
with Rex being out of the game so long, like I have more faith that Aaron Glenn can do that than Rex. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Pete.
no, there was a thing too. Back in a press conference, I have the clip, but I can't find it right now. Aaron Glenn, he was getting interviewed, and then a couple of people walked in late from the media, and he like said, "You guys are late," and like he held them accountable, and people started laughing, but he was like being dead serious, man. Like this guy's been around the block. He knows. He's played here. He played.
He might be the strict guy too. That's not the. I don't want to say it improperly, but he might not be the jerk that Flores is considered to be. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be stern and stiff and hold folks accountable, but also
Yeah,
not be a jerk
and
about it. I think Aaron Glenn is that.
and Mark, it just made me think if anybody who had a down year can turn their year and career around, Aaron Glenn with Sauce Gardner, that might be a dream.
I was just thinking
That
that.
might be a dream. You know,
Mhm.
match for Sauce Gardner. Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm just
PD.
saying.
PD, if Aaron Glenn is the head coach, and I'm just going to assume he's going to call plays, he may not, and that would be like another question of itself, in terms of if you guys get a defensive coordinator or just simply an offensive coordinator. are they going to be the ones that's going to be calling the plays, or are they going to have someone else do it themselves? But if Aaron Glenn, let's just say, run plays, you're running a lot of man coverage. Just based off what he did with the Lions, they ran a lot of cover one. With they ran a lot of cover one with the safety kind of going up with their I think their strong kind of going out there, and he was kind of more covering the shallow. But that will be interesting because it's not like Sauce Gardner came from Cincinnati where they it was more 55-45 in terms of running man. So I wonder with Aaron Glenn if even though I do think that Sauce is more of a zone guy, or he's developed more into a zone guy by having a guy that primarily focuses on what he was strong at in college. Are we going to see the best of what we see, of what we saw from Sauce earlier on when he was considered a top prospect?
Yeah. And listen, I think Sauce Gardner should be here. I know there's Jeff fans that don't want him here, and I get it. But look, this is the beauty of having a sports opinion. We all have different opinions.
Well, Petey, look what's available. If you look at the draft at the cornerback position, right? We all know Will Johnson. He's the kind of the cream of the crop, the corners. Then you have Siobhan Revel from East Carolina, who's coming off of a huge injury. You have Benjamin Morrison at Notre Dame, who has a hip injury. That terrifies me when you have a young corner coming out of the draft with a hip injury. I'm not saying there's not any other good corners in the draft, but outside of that, you have a lot of guys that are probably going to be overdrafted because of position scarcity versus talent, right? Like a kid like Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky is a guy that I probably have a third, fourth round grade on, but I could see him going round two because there's just not a lot. You look at free agency, the number one rated corner in free agency is DJ Reed. You had him, right? Are you going to take DJ Reed over Sauce Gardner? Like, I don't think so. So, and overall, like we always talk about cap space, this free agent crop is the worst that I can imagine. If you look, there's T. Higgins, who I think T. Higgins is a great player, but I can't ignore the fact that he misses a lot of time. There's Trey Smith from Kansas City, who is one of the best interior guards in the league. But there's not that many
Neil,
great
somebody
players, and if they,
is getting overpaid tremendously this year
Yep,
that
happens
doesn't
I
every
know
year.
who
deserve it.
I know one guy who's going to get tremendously overpaid is going to be Javon Holland. If he gets 18 to 20 million dollars a year, I think he was the 61st ranked safety in football this year. He's a young guy who's flashed good play. Somebody will overpay a guy like Javon Holland, and so that's where like you're 100% right. If finding good corners in the NFL is hard, and this is a passing league, right? We've seen this. The league has transformed into they want points on the board. That's why they throw
Yep.
flags, right? That's why they keep drives going. I mean, you're not going to find a better corner than Sauce Gardner. I don't care how his year looked this year, and I watched some of the games, and he didn't look like the same player, but like just he was 2 years in a row All Pro right before that. Like I personally think that he deserves a mulligan, and I think even his bad play is still on par with a lot of average corners in this league. So like you just can't like I think and I do this, so I'm not like but when you don't get results, we all get very emotional and knee jerk reactions happen a lot, right? Like and the reality of it is it's hard, to find good players as is, and when you have them under your
Yeah.
control, I think you get a second round pick for Sauce Gardner. Are you really excited about that second round
No.
pick?
No, Neil, I'd rather keep him and roll the dice. Why not?
Pete, I think he set expectations, right? Because I mean, you get 2 years and you're an All Pro, and then Jet fans are expecting, okay, well, it's always going to be trending up and to the right and high for Sauce, and then we discount things like scheme and coaching and saying, okay, well, it's going to be better, and then the offense and the defense as a whole performing, and like everything around him is going to be better. So of course he's going to be better, and I think it's another argument for Aaron Glenn. I mean, I look at Sauce as a cornerstone piece too. I think that I don't know if we've seen his best football. I would love to see Sauce in a different scheme. And look, fans criticize him like, oh, he can't travel, he can't do. You know what? I would love to see what happens when he's properly coached. And it's like, listen, you're going to eliminate this number 2 wide receiver from the football game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's going to be your
Yep.
job this time. So let's look at the tape, and you're going to study this guy's tendencies all week, and you're going to make sure he's nobody, and we're going to bracket the one, and that's how we're going to win this football game. And I think Glenn And I think Glenn will tear into him. If he doesn't like how Sauce is operating, you don't think Aaron Glenn's going to tell him?
Yeah, Mark, I think another thing. Just real quick, video. I think another thing is that if you bring in Aaron Glenn, Carlton Davis is a free agent. Carlton Davis, I think, in man coverage has been he's been a top 20 corner in terms of man coverage proficiency. So obviously Carlton Davis, he's a veteran. He's been around the league for a while. So a champion. Went to the Detroit Lions this year, made a pretty big impact on their defense. I would consider picking him up, or maybe another option too, if you want to fix the offensive line, is Cam Robinson's a free agent. The Vikings traded for him because he had a down year with the Jaguars. I still think he's a solid tackle that has the capability of playing on both sides, left or right tackle. So,
Jared made me think of something there. This is another argument for Aaron Glenn over someone like Rex Ryan or someone who's been out of the game. These coaches come in and have relationships, not just with staff, but with players. And they want to bring in their own guys that already understand the system, can help reinforce the system, teach other players. They bring in the standard and can help with the culture shift.
Yep.
So that's a great call out, Jared.
And Mark, they need players. The Jets need players. They lost 6. They're losing 6 guys on defense.
Well, they're arguably losing their best corner with Reed.
Yep,
right?
And DJ Reed. Yeah, Neil. The overpayment. I think DJ Reed's going to get somewhere between 15 and 20 million a year.
I think closer to the 20, PD. He's my number 3 ranked unrestricted free agent. If I had to put a board together, it'd be Trey Smith, T. Higgins, and DJ Reed. And the Jets also didn't get a lot of help out of the safety position, right? Like,
correct.
And that's where I'll be honest, like, when I watched the Jets, what stood out to me, except when Tyler Huntley made Ashton Davis look like Ed Reed back there last week, I mean, their safeties just seem like they're not the caliber of an NFL safety. Like, that's what my fear is, that you guys draft a guy like Malachi Starks, because Malachi Starks has range for days. I think he's a special safety prospect. I'm not all about like my motto for the Dolphins is draft trench play, but there are players that make you throw curveballs, and Malachi Starks is one. You get a safety like that over top and let Sauce be more aggressive, kind of be that fearless guy that he's been for the first 2 years. I think that can help out a lot too. So I'm with you, Petey. That draft class has got to be the foundation for what didn't work, but it's also going to be the foundation for what's next. And I'd even throw Quinnen Williams in the loop of that. Like, I get, like, these guys get big contracts, and I guess technically you could say you want more sacks from Quinnen for his pay, but it's not our money, man. Like, at the end of the day, a lot of these guys are getting escalated payments because the salary cap's going up. What's $25 million for a defensive tackle today in 2 years will be chump change, because the TV deals are just getting bigger. The cap's supposed to grow another 20 million this year. It probably will again the year after that. I mean, it is what it is. That's why, like, as a fan, I used to focus a lot on the salary cap. I don't really give a shit about it anymore, because I don't want my team to build through free agency, because I think it's a recipe for failure. But B, they have people that are well more equipped, well more knowledgeable to figure it out. Like, the New Orleans Saints 2 years ago were $70 million over the cap, kept everybody, and brought Derek Carr in. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you can figure it out. There's gymnastics you can do. Sure, you're pushing it downhill, but, like, they'll figure it out. And then the cap goes up $20 million, and then they're reprieved a little bit. So, the cap is the cap. What these guys get paid is what they get paid. To me, it's just like going to the grocery store and buying milk. I don't control it. The cost is the cost.
Yep. Guys, I want to get to Bobby in a second. The Jets are playing. We knew that they were playing. I knew they were playing. We knew, because I got charged 9 games next year for season tickets instead of 10. So, but now it's official. They're playing in London. So the Jets' home game next year is in London, which I will not be going to. But I hope it's the Steelers, because they travel well. So let Pittsburgh be that home game, because I don't want Pittsburgh Steeler fans invading MetLife.
Yeah, but, Pete, you can thank Woody Johnson for this one again. of having. I don't like it when the team plays overseas.
Yeah, but Mark,
can they
yeah,
please just win football games? I'm sick of
Mark,
watching
but they
losing.
also signed the agreement that they were going to be one of the, not the ambassador, but you recall the Jets were one of those teams that signed with London, correct? Like a couple of years ago.
You
So,
think you see Robert Kraft clamoring over, hey guys, can we get to London and expand the NFL's footprint? F the
no,
NFL's footprint.
Mark,
Win games.
yes, Mark, I did not want to get into Woody Johnson today. Every time I talk about him, I feel worse with my cold. So, I'd ra- I'd ra- I'd rather not talk about him.
Joke.
Bob, I do have a few minutes here because at 9:15, Antoine Staley from the Daily News will join us. But Bob, let me switch subjects a little bit and talk because Mark and I, June, the Jets community, everybody's been talking about the Rooney Rule with New England, and they already completed the Rooney Rule satisfaction, and now they're free to hire coaches. So, what's your thoughts on everything? Good morning.
Good morning, man. You could hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, the Rooney Rule, in terms of that, you're going to see a lot of people say that, you know what, the two interviews they had with Byron Leftwich and Pep Hamilton were a sham. You're going to hear a bunch of that. And honestly, you know, in my opinion, I think you should, if you're giving somebody an interview, you have to have consideration that they can be the guy to take over, regardless of whether it's head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, the list goes on. Yeah, it was clear as day. Obviously, they were just satisfying the Rooney Rule with those interviews. Unfortunately, we all know it's clear as day who the Patriots are eyeing down. It's Vrabel. He was in yesterday all day. Um, as a matter of fact, the interview didn't even happen. Well, every interview the Patriots have conducted, other than the one they're going to do soon with Ben Johnson, which it has to be virtually, it's been at Robert Kraft's house. He interviewed Pep Hamilton, Byron Leftwich, and now Mike Vrabel at his house. Doing it personally because he really is embarrassed of what happened last year, and he should be. This is all his fault, in my opinion. Um, and you know, I think it's clear as day that Mike Vrabel is the guy. Um, I think my personal prediction is if they want to win,
Bob, real quick, can you see Ben Johnson getting a job there, or just Vrabel and that's it?
honestly, I'm going to tell you this: Ben Johnson's been so picky. I think the Patriots. I might be biased, but just what the Patriots have, the cap space, the draft capital, the quarterback of the future. I think their coaching position is the most attractive to head coaching candidates. Honestly, I think he's very picky. Um, I could see him getting it, but I could also see him not taking the job and staying put with the Lions, especially if they win the Super Bowl, which I think they can do. But I just think it's Vrabel or bust. I am a little nervous about the Raiders, what they have done, because I feel like they could lure him in. But I can see Ben Johnson taking over. I keep saying this is the Patriots just had a rookie head coach and he wasn't ready. I have my reservations about taking on another one, and I think we could all agree Ben Johnson is a much better coach than Gerard Mayo, and maybe he's more ready. But to me, I want somebody who's has experience, knows he's a guy who's going to change the culture. Not saying Ben Johnson can't. I just think Mike Vrabel is the guy for this job. I think this job is meant for him.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, this I just saw the Raiders are hiring Corn Ferry, Jed Hughes, to for their search. So
Yeah,
the Jets weren't the only team. The Jets hired them back in the day.
I do want.
So people want to clown the Jets. The Raiders should be in the Jets camp too, of getting clowned.
Well, I want to say this in terms of the Jets, real quick. Someone said before, I think it was Jarek. He said something about getting Carlton Davis for you guys. I think that would be really smart for you guys. He's very, very good. He's a phenomenal player. Um, he's somebody who, um, opposite Sauce Gardner could be really, really good. I like him a lot. I live in Tampa, so I've watched him play. He's phenomenal. Um, I think for the Jets, to me, guys, I got.
Hey, Bob, I think you're covering your mic from time to time, so you're kind of in and out.
Can you hear me now?
No,
Um,
not that good.
yeah.
I don't know what, I'm on my AirPods right now. I don't know why it's doing that.
Lift your chin up. Pause.
How about now?
No. Sorry.
How about now? Hold on. I'm gonna try something different now.
Yeah, it's lower. I absolutely want to hear what you have to say, so that's why I'm pointing it out.
All right.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Here we go. So sorry about that. I'm in my office, so had to get out of
No,
this
it's all
other.
good, Bob.
I think the Jets, in my opinion, who reservations about a first-time head coach. First off, I'll tell you, do not hire back Rex Ryan. In my opinion, look, did he take you guys to games back to back? Yes. Was your defense loaded? Yes. But also, I feel like you need to go forward. You guys had your chance with him. It didn't work out in the end. You need to move forward with someone new. I think Aaron Glenn makes more sense. I think what he's done for the Lions has been nothing short of spectacular. What he did to that Vikings offense, that loaded offense, and minus so many players on defense for the Lions, that scheme, that game plan that he drew up was phenomenal. Love what I saw. Not to mention, he's also played for you guys. I think it's a match made in heaven. I think he's going to hold guys accountable. I think he's going to be a tough coach for you guys, and he's going to want to come in there and change the culture. Yes, we've heard that before. I love what I see from Aaron Glenn. A fiery guy. He's not going to take any bullshit. I know in terms of some like when I got into some sort of Sauce, my opinion, Sauce needs to tackle better. And I can tell you, Aaron Glenn will make sure that gets taken care of.
Yeah.
I think
It's a
Pete and Bobby,
good.
if I could say, like, I think that there are three. And look, Aaron Glenn is my second choice after Vrabel. Honestly, I think there are three. Just being fair, there are three negatives I could think of with hiring Aaron Glenn as the next head coach. The first is offensive coordinator. So Jet fans will say, well, Mark, you want to hire an offensive coordinator as your head coach because you don't want to get that OC poached off your roster and then have your team learn another system. My response to that, give me that problem. Give me a Jet offense that's consistently scoring 25 to 30 points a game where now the OC is getting poached. Like, can I please watch that football for a season after seeing the Jets struggle to score 18 points or 16 points? I would love to watch that for a season. I'm fine with it. Give me an OC that's good enough to get poached. That's the first response on that. The second is it's a rookie head coach, and so now you have the problem of, okay, well, it's his first time doing the job. What is that going to mean for the defense? Who does he install as DC? Can he keep the same fire where now he's not, managing that position, that side of the football directly? I think it's a valid concern. Like, I don't know who staffing wise he would put in as DC or if he keeps the call sheet. So who knows what happens there? And then the third problem, and this is about whether this is a tricky one. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. Are they going to try to get Rodgers back and run it back with Rodgers and Adams and Lazard, or are they going to move on and now you have a rookie quarterback and suddenly they don't have that sort of stability on that side of the ball that you may get if you get an offensive-minded head coach. Like, there are concerns with getting Aaron Glenn. It's not all, sunshine and rainbows with the guy, but in my opinion, I think you take it. I think in my mind, he's the clear signal, especially now that the Jets are not getting OC. I think Frank alerted us to this, Frankie, that like they're not getting interviews with some of the OCs that are prominent in this cycle. If that's true, then and you're going to be forced into hiring a defensive-minded head coach, then I don't know how they pass up on Aaron Glenn. So sorry, go ahead.
No, you make very valid points.
I totally get it. The quarterback position is definitely going to be a problem. You got to figure that out. Um, and you're basically doing a waiting game with Aaron Rodgers. Is you got to figure it out. The draft, other than Cam Ward, I'm not sold on Shador Sanders. And if this guy Drew Aller, I know last night he didn't play well, but does he come out and go to the draft? We'll see. But other than that, I know some of the Jets fans were talking about Milrow, maybe, I don't know, but who could you plug in and start in 2025? That's gonna be the question mark. I totally agree with you 100%. That's definitely everything you said about hiring Aaron Glenn, I understand. Um, but to me, honestly, I just think Aaron Glenn is just too good to pass up. I think you guys will figure it out. He'll figure it out.
I think I agree with you, and I want to get to Vince. Just a comment. Here's where Jeff. I see Vince coming up, and I know folks are going to be fighting about whether or not the Jets bring Aaron Rodgers back. And I think this past year was an all-in swing. You get Tyron Smith for 1 year. You get Morgan Moses in on a 1 year. You try to mend fences with Hassan Reddick, like a lot of 1 year all-in style moves. This is going to be I would love to be a fly on the wall in the room, and they have the conversation with Rodgers and say, you know what, we tried all in last year. This year, it's all like, how do you shift him into bridge quarterback style thinking? Because I don't know if next year is an all-in year with Rodgers. Instead, you kind of want him being all right with being a bridge option. Which, listen, if they succeed, terrific. But if it doesn't work out, like, they need to prepare for the future with a new head coach, new GM. Like, they got young players, and they got to figure out how they're going to retain young talent. Like, and if you put Rodgers in bridge mode for next year, it's like, all right, now we're bringing in, like, now we're preparing for the future. And if it works, and suddenly you guys find yourself in the playoffs, and it looks like you really are going, terrific. But I think the expectations change in the second year, really the third year with Rodgers as your quarterback, because the first year is hurt. Then the expectations from this past year. So I don't know, and it's a rookie head coach, or it's a new head coach for the
Now
team
you're going to
installing their
get
own
Vince
system and
fired
culture.
up,
I
Mark.
know it. All right, Vince, go ahead.
You know what? I'm not even going to waste another one of my precious breaths on that man, Aaron Rodgers. So I'm just going to move on from that. No. It's, you know what it is? It's going back to all the coaching and stuff. By the way, good morning, everyone. I think one of the biggest
Morning.
issues that the Jets have, and I say this as an issue, is that the Jets don't have a GM too. And that's the other big thing, is that I believe everybody that the Jets have have interviewed for the GM job are all guys that are currently with the team, currently in the playoffs. So I always have been under the impression that you need to hire the GM before you hire the coach. I think Mark said it a bit ago. There needs to be a relationship between the two. There needs to be some kind of camaraderie between the two. And it's going to be very hard for the Jets to basically say, okay, let me hire, let's say if the Chiefs and the Lions meet in the Super Bowl, you can't touch either one of their assistant GMs until then. So are you going to sit there and basically wait? In that regard, then Aaron Glenn would still be there. But I think that's the biggest issue that the Jets are going to have, is that I don't think you want to. We're easy to talk about the coach, which is right. But the Jets need to get the GM spot squared up before the coach, and they need to get that right over coach. I mean, the Jets have historically not been good in free agency. You look about what Joe Douglas has done in the draft and in free agency; it's really been one of the big reasons why this team has taken a huge step back too. And I think, and you can look at a lot of different reasons for that, but I think that's the big thing. And I think it's a downfall. We're the only team that's looking for both a coach and a GM. And unfortunately, there might be an opportunity where you kind of have to risk and wait for somebody else to lose, or hope that somebody doesn't get scooped up before you're ready to really make your move.
Yeah. Good point, Vince. Appreciate you not going on a rant about Mr. Rogers.
I don't have the energy anymore, Petey.
Yeah. And guys, by the way, now that it's 9 o'clock, the room's filled up a little bit. It's good morning to Jets Commute. You know, I want to personally thank, you guys, everybody, because, we've shared the tweet of Mark's daughter. And this is really a true story. Like, yesterday I woke up, Mark texted me, I've been really under the weather the last week, and I'm literally wiping the cold out of my eye. And I opened the text from Mark, and I saw, his daughter, and she needed a procedure. And Mark, has shared a lot of stuff with me, but he did not share this. And I almost dropped my phone.
Yeah, Pete. I mean,
Yeah. And Mark, give me a
go
second,
ahead.
please. Sorry. Uh, I'll get emotional, Mark. You don't have to. And so, you know, Mark asked if I could share it, and I kind of wanted to yell at Mark, but I said, of course. And it really turned yesterday too when Nick and U Stadium and Frank, shout out to those guys, retweeted the link, and like I know Jets Commute, Mark was saying it was up to 1,500 hours yesterday, which is incredible. And then that it just skyrocketed. It's over $10,000 now, $11,000, and
Pete, it just
this
broke
is
16K like in the course of
wow.
the space. So like basically $11,000 raised in under 24 hours.
Yep. So I want to thank the community, and especially I said U Stadium, Nick and Frank over there. Thank you. I know they're not in here, but and everybody. I see all the people that donated that liked, whether it's $5, $100, $10, everything helps. And you know, when I started doing this, you could ask Mark. My goal was, yeah, I like having the Bills, Dolphins, Jet fights. There's really no Patriot fans on here that fight a little bit. J Mick comes in,
Yeah, we know a
but
handful.
yeah, but like when that happened, when I told Mark I want to, I'm going to do this every day and just be here and talk football, and to see what the community did yesterday is just it's breathtaking, man. So that's my speech. Thank you to everybody. Antoine Staley will join us at 9:15 to recap the miserable Jet season, the good riddance. Uh, and you guys, I try not to get personal on here. I do get mad at Mark and June a lot because they're my co-hosts. Just it's about football, but I want good conversation, and this is no knock on anybody. Whatever other people do in other spaces, it's not for me to judge. What I do in here is what I do, and I hold myself accountable. And I damn sure want people to be treated respectfully. And I try and, catch everything I can. It's not easy to do this. So you guys are welcome in here. Yeah, I fucking hate the Bills. I hope they don't win this year. But that Jarek is in here every day. He's like a brother, you know. Whittle, Lee Sean, James Thomas, Dale, you guys rock. And this is what I like. So what I like, some other people don't like, but that's fine. What you like, I may not like. And this is my little speech. So
All right,
appreciate you
Pete.
guys.
Pete, thank you for that, and thank you for helping me spread the word about this. It's to texting you at like 5 in the morning, being like, "Hey, my wife wants to GoFundMe. Is it all right if I share it?" Um, and you immediately were like, "Of course." And then I'm floored, like our family's floored by what's happened since. And I'm saying like individual contributions, large contributions, um, and folks sharing and retweeting. Even if folks that aren't giving, the sharing and retweeting is almost like it's even more valuable because you never know who people know. Like everything happens through other people, so it's been a huge benefit. Um, so we're grateful. And then as far as and P, we talk about it and joke about it. Like this is a sports conference call. Like we're in here talking about a team that won 5 games last year, and they just can't figure it out and can't get it right. But instead you get a group of people together, and there's a lot of knowledge in this room. We've had football people, X's and O's people in here, draft people in here, strategic minds, folks that watch a ton of college and are sharing. And then you get reporters in here and former players and other folks that are, at and around the NFL. Like there's a lot. I've learned a lot being in here. And this is over 2 years of doing this. So I'm grateful to you. I'm sure a lot of people are. And you guys would be surprised the kind of stories we get that we don't really talk about. We get DMs from people that actually tell us, you know what? They're in here as listener. They never come up to speak, but they're broadcasting this show, the space, in their place of work. And there are folks that are listening to it like it's just being broadcast as if it's like WFAN or some other radio show. And like a whole room, a whole firehouse is listening to it. So it's wild the kinds of messages that we get. And it's you guys. Like I talk some and Pete talks some, but really we're just trying to manage a conversation. And
Mark, you talk a lot.
Oh God,
I had to do that.
This morning, thanks, Pete. This morning I did for sure. You know what? Now I'm going on mute. All right, you carry the
Oh
conversation.
gosh, I'm kidding, man. Go ahead. Stop it.
Anyway, I've learned a ton because I don't watch a lot of college, and it's great hearing people talk about that part of it, and also like there's encyclopedic knowledge about other teams that comes in here. Like I'm really psyched to learn about the playoff matchups because I don't watch, let's say, a lot of NFC. I mean, I have time to watch a lot of their games, but folks are going to come in here and tell us about key matchups and players and like things to keep an eye on when you're watching the game. And it's better. It's honestly, frankly, it's more in depth. It's better than watching paid networks sometimes because the conversation's more interactive. If you have a question, like you can often get an answer.
Yep.
Coming into rooms like it's wild to me.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's it. I'm getting off the soapbox.
Don't worry. And one last thing, guys, if we could put a heart up for Mark's daughter, Sophia, please, and just all come together here on this. I know it's on delay for the listeners, but if you guys can put up some hearts, we'd really appreciate it. Let me see those in the listener section once they go. All right, there they go. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. And thank you, everybody.
Emilio, go for a walk somewhere.
Hey, Hector.
Sorry, Pete.
You were a listener. You were a listener for a long time.
Yes.
For over a year until you'd comment, but you wouldn't talk, and now you're in here every day.
Every day. I love it.
Hector, what's your head coach tier? If you're going to give us like 1, 2, and maybe 3, what are you thinking?
I don't want Aaron Glenn. I kind of like June's idea with Nagy a little bit, depending who comes with him. If he can get because he was talking yesterday about maybe the head coach from Jacksonville is the OC. I'd be good with that.
Oh, I wish June were here. I have 2 problems with Nagy. One is him. I mean, I understand the Trubisky like getting a little bit of juice for the squeeze out of that, and then it kind of falling apart. But I would prefer if you're going to get an OC in, someone who's has a track record of developing a young quarterback. And if I'm wrong on this, please educate me about it. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is, especially with the Kansas City guys, it's like how much of these guys are being a Mahomes merchant, like where you have the head coach and the quarterback and the elite quarterback figured out, and now these guys kind of get. I just don't want another. I don't want another failed OC. I know he's got head coaching experience, like that part's good, but oh man, I can't go through. I don't want another case. I can't go through that again.
I would prefer Flores over Glenn because he's done it before.
That's true. I mean, that's a feather in his cap. I don't know how. Well, Pete, let me ask Pete, are you there? Can I ask you something?
Yep.
What do you think? Did you see what Ryan Fitzpatrick said about Flores? I'm curious to get your take.
Yes. And I ignored him like he ignored the 2016 season in the last game of the year.
Wow.
15.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not interested in hearing Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Me neither. He's always been killing the Jets since he left.
Yeah, but go ahead, Mark.
Well, I think I said it earlier when we started. I feel like you can get the edge of Flores with Glenn without the perception of Flores as being unlikable. I guess is
Yeah,
for lack of a better, like hold people accountable. But yeah,
but
that's
I
it.
think Flores, that I think some of the players here need that, especially after and we'll get into this with Antoine. Antoine's here. Good morning, Antoine. How are you? Thanks for joining.
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. It's been a good. By the way, man, I was at the game. Luckily, I was in a suite, or I wouldn't have made the game because I started getting a headache. I've been sick as a dog since then, but I can't believe how many empty seats were at that game, man. That was worse than a preseason game, man.
I mean, you're 4-12 at the time, so yeah. I mean, that's the cost of doing business. I mean, yeah, you got a team that's out the playoffs for the 14th consecutive year, and you're paying meaningless game against the Dolphins. And there was a lot of Dolphin fans there too. So yeah, it was definitely it was one of the worst attendance games I've seen since covering the Jets for sure.
Yeah, Antoine, good riddance to the season. I mean, for me, but where do you see this? Who do you think are the top two candidates right now? Because I know you don't think Vrabel's going to be it. Are you thinking it's Aaron Glenn and Nagy, or who do you think's or Flores? Like, did they
I,
interview Flores yet? The Jets? Yeah,
uh,
they didn't, or did
no, they
they?
have not. They have not.
Okay,
They have
so
not.
did they put in a request to?
Yes, yes, they
Yes.
have.
Okay. So who's your
I
what's your
wouldn't
thoughts on
say
this?
two top because they. I mean, as far as I think the general manager is a little bit more. I think that's the more important position, at least at the moment. But I will say, I believe I've said it's going to be Aaron Glenn. I still maintain that. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm sorry, I accidentally hit the mute button. Oh my God. Go ahead, Antoine.
Uh,
My bad.
I was just saying that I believe it's going to be Aaron Glenn, but we'll have to see who he's paired up with as far as general manager. I think that's going to be just as important, if not more important, than the head coach. To be honest with you.
Okay. All right. I mean, I know a lot of Jeff fans are not happy with that, but
I
you
mean,
know,
people are gonna be pissed off no matter who it is. Like it could be anybody. Like some people are gonna be happy about it. Some people are not gonna be happy about it. I mean, it is what it is. You just have to hope that they find the right guy. And I don't know if Aaron. Like I said, I can't say definitively if I know Aaron Glenn is the right guy. But I will say that just talking with a few people, like he is a culture changer, and it's something that the Jets desperately need. That's why they've been in this quote unquote dark place, no pun intended, for the last 14, almost 15 years. So yeah, they need somebody that can bring them out of that. And one thing I do like about Glenn, he started out as a scout after he got done playing and just moved up the ranks that way. And that's very unique and as far as a coach.
didn't he start scouting with the Jets, Antoine, or
Yes.
no?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay. So Antoine, did I know you don't think Samini was on, the Jet Lounge space the other night?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I
Sorry,
can
I
hear
had a
you now,
Yeah,
call.
you're
yeah.
back.
Yeah, you talk about Rich. You talk about Rich was on
And he
the
get
lounge.
yes, yes, and
Okay.
he somebody asked the question, and I was shocked at his answer. He gave 30% chance of Rodgers being back. Do you give it that or less?
And he's
Because
less. He's more optimistic than I am.
yeah, I mean, so
uh,
so if they're gonna get rid of all these guys, like what, do you see them keeping all these young guys? I know June's not in here, but last time you were in here, June thinks that Garrett Wilson's gonna ask out. I know you wrote something. I mean, is this thing a bigger mess than we know about, or what's going on with this?
okay, yeah, that's two different questions,
Yes,
but
I know. Go
without
ahead.
what I'll say is this: like, first of all, I'll start with Rogers. Like, I think I give it like a 15-20% chance he's back. Now, sure, Woody has said, well, he's going to be left up to the general manager and coach, but I just get the sense that I think both sides want to move on. I think Aaron he's such a difficult 2 years there. He said the right things at the end of the year that he gave his gratitude and everything like that. It just seems like for me, it's just kind of like I think both sides just need to go in a different direction. And yeah, I mean, people ask, well, who's going to be the starting quarterback? And it may not. Aaron might be the best option as far as like his resume and things of that nature too. But I think just a different option, might be better for the Jets because I mean this clearly hadn't worked, and it's not. I'm not saying here's totally blaming Aaron Rodgers or anything like that. I'm not totally blaming anybody, but the fact of the matter is, it just didn't work for a variety of different reasons, and sometimes you just have to chuck it up as a loss, and you have to move on. And I think that's kind of what the Jets have to do. And also, another thing, this roster is going to look completely different. I'm not sitting here saying they're going to trade Garrett Wilson because, I know he's not necessarily happy with how things went down the season for a variety of different reasons. But I literally went down, even before the season ended, and counted, like looked at the roster and counted. I came up with about 15 guys that I can fit. I can definitely say that will be on the roster, or I believe will be on the roster next year. Everybody else, I'm not so sure. So it's going to definitely look entirely different than what it does in 2025 than it did in 2024. But in terms of Garrett, I wouldn't actively trade him, but if somebody came to me with a nice offer potentially, that it's not that I wouldn't listen, especially if he's not gonna be committed and sign a long term deal. And it doesn't seem like I asked him point blank last month, and he kind of danced around the question about was he committed to the Jets long term. But he could obviously change his mind, and we'll see if they give him a contract extension. But it does not sound like he sounds like he's not a committal to the Jets right now. So that's just something to keep an eye on.
So how he sounded compared to when somebody asked Sauce that he wants to, so he
Correct.
sounded different than Sauce.
Correct. Correct. Saul
Okay.
seems like he wants to be part of the solution. He seems like he wants to be with the Jets. I really can't say that about Garrett. I don't know the answer to that. It's like I said again, like he's on several occasions, whether it be an article I wrote or Rich or whatever. Like it just seems like he's very non-committal, long term.
Okay. Vince, go ahead, jump in.
So, quick morning, Antoine. So one thing to continue that conversation. What about Brees Hall? Because I know it's a little bit different with Brees, how he wasn't a first round pick, so they don't have to make that 5th-year option on him at the end of this year. But I personally think that if you were to get a good offer for him or whatnot, I think his rookie year was incredible, and then it's been a couple down 2 years, and I like the combo of I actually like Isaiah Davis more than Braden Allen. But Brees made a comment about how it's very hard to win when you fire head coaches and
He's
and
not
GMs
wrong.
miss.
He's not
He's not
wrong.
wrong. I just feel like do you think he's kind of in that disgruntled employee type of situation more towards Garrett than Sauce?
Yeah, because he wasn't used properly. I mean, how many weeks did we go? Even going back to last year, we were like Brees Hall's not used properly. Like Nathaniel
Hmm.
Hackett has no idea how to use Brees Hall, and it went into this year too, and it went even with Hackett became the play caller. I mean, it'd be times where. I mean, there's no reason why the Jets should be one of the worst rushing teams in football. And look, I get not all that has to do with play calling. Some of that has to do with him. Some of that has to do with the run blocking as well. I mean, it's a lot of parts with this, but the fact of the matter is, I just don't think they knew how to use Brees Hall and unleashed all his gifts properly. So yeah, he was unhappy at times too. I mean, you could clearly see it on his face. I mean, Garrett wasn't happy either. I mean, so yeah, it was a lot of people were disgruntled. Again, like I'm not sitting here blaming Aaron Rodgers for all of that. It's a lot that goes with that, but the fact of the matter, I just don't feel like they used the personnel properly. And then we've talked about that for years, and some people would always obviously have mentioned Brock Bowers and traded for him. I don't think they would have used him properly either. So I mean, they don't know how to use the people that they have. So I think yeah, he's definitely been unhappy. Probably more on the Garrett side.
If I can make a quick follow up and question about basically players, I mean, I think everybody understands that it's an age driven league and you have backups and whatnot. Did Brees ever give any indication about, it's very rare that a team drafts two running backs in the same draft when you have, at that point a premier type of running back. Do you think that did Brees ever give any indication that he was a little pissed off at that drafting two young kids that he could be seen as one of them or hopefully be his replacement in a year or so?
No, not that I know of. I think he was. I don't think he sounded like he was upset at all. I mean, he knew he was going to be the starter no matter what. So I don't think that really bothered him that much. I think he also anticipated having a big year, and that just never. I mean, really, that hasn't happened. During his 3 years with the Jets. Obviously, his first year he got hurt, but whatever the case may be, yeah, I don't think he was bothered by it. At least externally, he should say he was bothered by it. I'll say that.
Antoine, thank you again for being in here, and again, I want to thank you for reposting the GoFundMe. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
Question for you. So you're given, so Rich Samini's given a 30% chance of Rogers' return. You're cutting that in half and saying 15%. If both of you are right, who's under center for the Jets next year? Like, what does this mean for? I mean, we're going to end up having a cap conversation about all this
Correct.
because what can they clear and when? But who's under center next year?
Well, the way I look at it, like I think they just need. I don't. I hate saying this because I know it's not going to be very popular, especially considering their cap situation, which is not good. Um, I want to say punt on the season, but I think next year is more like you're trying to clean up the cap situation. Sort of like I don't want to say like the Patriots, but kind of sort of like that because now the New England's going to have 131 million dollars to spend this off season. So for me, like I would go with Tyrod Taylor. You still got him under contract. I also would sign another veteran, or maybe like a Justin Fields or something in that nature, and then you still have Jordan Travis on the roster too as well. So if you want to pick up somebody else too as well for camp purposes and competition, then that's fine too, whether it be a draft pick or just some kind of street free agent. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't see them getting. I don't know if Kirk Cousins wants to come here. Maybe he would, but have to think Cleveland is probably a better situation if he were to get released. I know the Falcons are talking about having a nearly $40 million backup, but have a hard time believing he's going to stay in Atlanta, considering everything and the fact they pretty much drafted Michael Penix behind his back. So he's clearly ain't been happy with that, and I'm sure he's not going to be happy being a backup somewhere where he could be starting. But yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. I know it's not encouraging. I know people are going to hate it, but I don't know any other option, especially if they move on from there, because the free agent market is not great. I mean, Russell Wilson. I mean, he started out really well with the Steelers, but has kind of just gone down ever since. And then we'll see if they end up beating the Ravens on Saturday. But yeah, I don't. It's just not a lot of big time free agents out there that I think are going to make a big needle with with anybody. This free agent season, and then the draft is not great either. In terms of quarterbacks. Now the draft is great in other positions, but really you just got Cam Ward and Shador Sanders, and it's like a large drop off after that.
Bill, go ahead, man. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing, Antoine? How are you, man? Um,
I'm good. How you
uh,
doing?
Good, good. If anyone's anxious or I apologize. I'm at work and I just really started listening hard right now. Um, Glenn's definitely moved up on my list as far as the guys that we know that were requested or interviewed already. Um, just looking at his background, his who he was raised under, so to speak, with Parcells and just some videos that are out there that have been coming out lately, just seeing his demeanor. And, I think he brings that Rex factor, that love for the Jets and passion, but the modern age Rex, where, Rex has kind of he's been out of the loop for too long for me. And he's ahead of Flores for me. Just, you know, everyone deserves second chances, and I'm sure
Correct.
Flores going to Pittsburgh and going to Minnesota under two really good head coaches. I'm sure he's picked up on things, how to handle situations better now. So I'd be okay with them giving him the job. I just have, for that reason only, though, because you don't really know for sure if he learns. Glenn would be my guy before him. So my question to you is, any OC guys been linked to Glenn that you know of heard of that he would bring with him? Because to me, I like everything about Glenn, but my final judgment will be when I think he can make a good defensive staff. That goes without question. All the, he definitely will put together a good defensive staff. I think it's the offensive one that's in question. Have you heard any names linked to him at all?
I mean, I'll answer the Flores question first.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't. You know, it's definitely a lot that went down with the Miami situation. Some of it his fault, some of it is not. But clearly, like the way you mistreated Tua, the way he mistreated Tua and everything like that. But I think he would probably want to go somewhere where it was a established quarterback or at least a quarterback in place. That's why I think Jacksonville might be a better option for him as opposed to the Jets. Sometimes my job is sometimes you might have different people that are better fit for jobs. I feel like Aaron Glenn is probably a better fit for the Jets job than Brian Flores would be for the Jets job, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean,
I
I think
definitely think
Flores
that
would
is
be
the
good
case.
for. Yeah, I think Flores would. I think he's a New Yorker. I think he's got that tough
Yes, correct.
exterior, and I think he'd be able to handle Woody. I mean, that's another
Oh
factor.
yeah.
People have to take that. And I actually saw something yesterday where a big part of their interview process is them, like, if they're compatible with Woody. I don't know how they're doing that, but that's supposedly that's a big thing that's going on in these interviews.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I'm
Hey,
both
Term.
as far as the guys they've listed already. Those would be my top two.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, these OCs that are turning them down. You know, listen to me, Ben Johnson. I don't know, man. I have some weird feelings about this guy
Well,
that he.
well, here's the thing
Yeah,
too. Like, he is like, cause I remember him when he was in Miami. He was, there before Adam Gase, and then he stayed on the staff when Gase cared. So him and Gase are really cool. So I don't really see that happening for a variety of
yeah.
different reasons. That's one of them. Him and Adam are still really
Oh,
good
the Gay
friends,
side.
and
Okay.
yeah, and I, you know, we don't know how things ended with Gase. We don't need to get too deep into that. So, but yeah,
Right.
for one of those, that's one of the reasons I don't see that happening. It's just
Yeah.
based on
Well, if he
that.
has Gase's personality, he could stay away.
It is a little bit of Gase. Although I wouldn't, totally say he's Adam Gase, but it's some Gase in him. It's definitely some Gase in him. I mean, he's actually in Miami when Dan Campbell was the interim coach too. So it also a little bit that too as well. But to answer your question about the staff, no, I'm still trying to figure out like as far as offensive staff there. I know somebody to me might mention Mark Brunell as a possible name there. I know Darren Rizzi has been linked to Aaron Glenn too as well. It's like somebody they
He's
can bring
special
over.
teams, though, right?
Yeah, that's why I
Special
say
teams.
special on the
Yeah,
special teams end.
yeah,
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 which I think would be good. That'd be a guy that obviously has some experience there. I could definitely see a guy like Glenn making him the assistant, head coach, which I think would be good because Rizzi has a lot of experience. But
yeah.
yeah, as far as offensive guys, yeah, we're still trying to figure out like what that might look like because that's gonna be a big key, especially when you
That's
hire
the
a defensive
key.
guy.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the key. And I saw something about the passing game coordinator from the Lions also as a possibility. I don't never heard of him before, but but thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Petey and Mark. Good luck with everything.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Bill.
So
Antoine, I got.
Antoine,
Okay,
yeah,
Pete.
Antoine. So you don't see Brant Boyer surviving this regime and getting another chance? I'm kind of playing, but he's survived three other regimes.
I think it's gonna be hard this time because I mean I'm not saying this again like nothing's impossible, especially when talking about the Jets. But I think it's gonna be tough this time because I think they need a bit of a house cleaning. And again, like it's not his fault. I mean he could work somewhere, he could go somewhere else and find a job. But I just think it might be time to move on and get a clean slate here specifically.
Antoine, did you cover the Dolphins under Gase?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought. Yeah,
that's
that's what I
right.
just said. Yeah, yeah, I was there when Ben Johnson was there, and he was working as a wide receivers coach. So yeah, I was there. I was there under Philbin. I was under Gase too, and a little bit of Flores.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Antoine, I'm curious. You guys are your conversation with Bill made me think of something. So with Saleh as the head coach, I think Jet fans were thinking, okay, well, can they get some of the magic of what San Francisco was trying to do? Either players, position coaches, like be serious about running the football, implement a West Coast, play stout defense. and have that be kind of the template and see if that could lead to success. I think with the Aaron Glenn hire, I think the big difference is we see what Detroit is doing. And Detroit was a laughing stock not that long
Correct.
ago. And then you introduce Matt Campbell and you see what and the Matt Campbell Ben Johnson parallel where you got a guy who's a clear
You
introvert
mean
as
Dan
the OC.
Campbell? Dan
Yeah,
Campbell, right?
yeah, Dan Campbell, sorry.
Yeah, because Matt Campbell's the Iowa State coach, so I just want to make sure people are not confused here.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that the Campbell and Ben Johnson parallel where you got a clear, you have an introvert who really is a super OC who I don't know what he's going to turn into as a head coach, but like I like the idea of the Jets trying to follow that template if they're gonna hire a defensive minded head coach, and you're gonna have um, and you're trying to transform a team that has done a whole fat bunch of nothing and turn it into a powerhouse. The Detroit model like gives me cause for hope. So I guess my question is, what then with the 33rd team doing all this interviewing, one of my grave concerns is that they're going to have a marriage between the GM and the head coach, that it's a fresh marriage, and that has not worked out for the Jets in the past. What sort of player personnel guys do you think that Glenn is connected with that may be of the candidates the Jets are already talking to, or is there someone that they should be talking to for the GM if Glenn is the next head coach?
Well, if they like for me, like I when I was looking at it, like even before they started interviewing people, like I thought a couple names. I thought Ray Atnew, who was the assistant GM for the Lions. I thought he would be a good fit to pair up with a guy like Aaron Glenn. Obviously, also Ray Atnew's son works as a scout currently for the Jets too. So I thought, just naturally that would be a good pairing as well. And of course, him and Glenn are familiar with each other, and also John Dorsey, who also had experience as a GM previously. Of course, the Jets, from what I understand, they want to have somebody that in one of the roles, like either experienced or not experienced, if possible. So whether it be a first time coach and then a experienced GM, or vice versa, or a rookie GM and a experienced coach, a coach that's had head coaching experience before. So I thought those two would make a lot of sense if they were going to bring in Glenn. They have not spoken to those guys yet or requested them, so maybe it's not in the cards. But that's what I thought initially when I was looking at it, because I thought it just made sense to keep those guys together. They already have a decent and solid relationship with one another.
Quick follow up to that, and then I'll get to Bill, which is, do you think that Woody would have the sense to hire a director of football operations over the GM, or do you think that's not in the cards for the Jets?
Yeah, it does not seem like that's in the cards for right now. Again, I would say never with the Jets, but it just doesn't seem like, from what I understand, that's in the cards for them.
All right, thanks. Bill,
Yeah,
go
no
ahead.
problem.
Hey, yeah, just quick. Antoine, like these interviews with Josh McCown and Rivera, do you think in these interviews they're asking these guys, are they open to coordinator jobs? And would Josh McCown come as an OC, say under a Flores, or even if Glenn called them? Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, Flores. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're asking. That's why I think it's good to talk to a lot of different people. You get to know their personality, and then you could also circle back and complete a staff potentially too, if it comes to be. Because Ron Rivera surprisingly said if he wants to coach in the NFL, and he would be willing to take a DC job, to do that. And if you're gonna hire somebody like Aaron Glenn, I think you need to have a an experienced coach on the staff too as well. I'm
I
not
agree.
saying I'm not
I
saying that's Ron Rivera, but I think it should be somebody that has
right.
prior head coaching experience. That way, you don't run into situations like in the fourth quarter where you have clock management and things that those guys have been in that moment, and it doesn't get too big for a rookie head coach. And we've seen that whether it be with Salah. And we also saw a lot of the Jeff Ulbrich at times too. So you want to make sure you have people with some established experience just for that, in addition to just normal game planning and other things that go on throughout the course of the week. So yeah, I think it makes sense to have somebody with some experience. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing wrong. That's why I tell people it's comical as the requests have been at times. It's good to just request as many names as possible, and then they could turn you down, they could not turn you down, but I think the Jets, for that reason, I think they're doing a good job just getting in front and talking to a lot of people about
Yeah,
the.
and at least other people, right? Because
Yeah,
they interviewed for Gonzi, they put in a request for Spagnuolo right away. They probably didn't even have him on
and
their list.
also Nagy too. So yeah, I mean, he probably
Yeah,
told him that he would, if he gets the job, maybe those would be guys that he would want to talk to, or want maybe we get the job potentially.
that's why. Yeah, today with Greenberg's interesting because maybe we'll get a Liam Cohen request today.
Yeah, yeah.
After they speak to Greenberg. But and what last question? What percentage would you put Josh McCown actually getting the head coaching job?
I mean, probably like 15%, maybe 10, 15.
Uh,
I don't think he's obviously a front runner, but he obviously somebody that the organization is familiar with, and also the fan base is familiar with, and I think he's moved up the ranks pretty well. I don't know if he's ready to get a head coaching job just yet, but yeah, I definitely think he's definitely somebody they have their eye on. So whether he gets a head coaching job there, I think he's going to be close. He's going to be a head coach at some point. It's just a matter of when that is.
Thanks, Antoine.
Yeah.
Antoine, June just came in. Uh, I know you don't have a lot of time, and we usually wrap up at 10. First of all, I want to thank you for always contributing to this space. You've been a long stay, and you've retweeted stuff, you've promoted stuff, you've done a lot for the Jets community, man, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And if you're, uh, w- I know it's a long ways away, but will you be going to London? If will they send you to London if you're still with the news? Would you go that trip?
We'll have to see. It's so far away from that. Yeah, I don't even know what that is. So
Y-
yeah,
Yeah, well, the Jets and well, I knew they were doing this,
I
Antoine,
did
but
too.
they told me about a month ago that the ticket prices was 10% off. So they just sent out a letter today, granting that, but they told us this over a month ago. So
Yeah, I've
yeah,
known
that.
since early December.
But Antoine, before I get to June, so
I'll be here.
obvi- Bill, can you mute,
No, I
please?
can't. You have my key.
All right, I got it. So obviously, you know, do you see? So you don't see them picking up Jermaine Johnson's option, do you? The new regime,
I think it's gonna
or
be. I think it's gonna be hard. Like if we consider their cap situation, and I mean, it's. I think Jermaine's gonna have a really bounce back year, but like his option, I believe is going to be close to 15, $16 million. In addition, you're going to have to pick up Garrett. You're going to pick up Garrett. You're definitely going to pick up Sauces as well. Although I know he had a disappointing 2024 season. I think that's the best way to put it. I won't say down because I think a lot of corners would love to have the season that Sauce did. I just don't think it was up to his standard like the first 2 years. But to pick up all three options, it's going to be hard. What I would try to do, and I've said this, publicly a few times, I would try to re-sign him for a few more years at a lower cap number, instead of picking up the option and see what he would be interested in that. Because he's had one good year out of three. I mean,
Mhm.
one. I mean, obviously he got hurt in 24 early on in week two, and then his rookie year was a bit of a wash, kind of like Will McDonald. So I don't know if you could just necessarily justify picking up the fifth year option,
Mhm.
considering that. But who knows? But I just think if I had to pick, that's probably what I would lean towards, them declining it.
Yeah, so kind of like a mini extension,
Yeah,
correct?
that's what I would do because I think you want to keep people like that. He is a good character guy, and he's self motivated, and
Right.
it's very hard to find guys like that that have talent in the league, and that's something that Jermaine is. So you want to keep him. You just want to, it is a business, so you want to keep him at just a good number that I think works for everybody.
Yeah. By the way, the bad guy Aaron Rodgers, I'm saying in parentheses, in quotes. I that was nice story that he flew Jermaine out for his Achilles surgery, paid over 30K for it. That was a nice story, man. Did you
Yeah,
hear about that?
yeah. I mean, yeah, players like it's players that like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's like any other. The NFL is like any other walk of life. It's gonna be players that really like you. You get along with. It's gonna be players that not so much. That's kind of the reality of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think no matter how you feel about Aaron Rodgers, then I think he has a good number of people that backing him in the locker room. No matter how the last seasons went.
So Antoine, obviously, there's so many people going to be leaving. So you don't think Adams will be back? Obviously,
No,
correct?
if Aaron, no, I think they're a package deal. So
Right.
if Aaron goes, then I think Devontae goes too. Even if Aaron Rodgers were to stay, I wouldn't necessarily say Devontae would be back because I think he's getting to the age where I think he wants to win the title, and obviously it ain't happening with the Jets. I mean, they tried it. Like I don't think even if they ran it back, I don't think they would be championship contenders. So I think he would want to go somewhere like a Kansas City or Buffalo to possibly win a championship because he's getting up there in age too, especially in receiver years.
Yeah, I could see him going to Kansas City. That's a good point. So Lazard won't be back probably then.
But no, I highly doubt he has no more
See,
guaranteed money on his contract, so I think he's
yeah.
gone.
Well, that's where Antoine, if they're going to let Adams go, I'm kind of, not in love, but I like this guy from Arizona, T
Oh,
Mac.
McMillan, McMillan,
Yeah.
yeah, he's good. He's good. He's a good like. I think the Jets could take. I think I got like four guys they could take in the draft, and I
Well,
think they
you
would
have
be.
him. You have him, Tyler Warren,
Yeah, I had a
Carter.
dude Carter, but they's probably not gonna be available at this point. I think the Patriots might take him at four, so which good luck trying to stop him for the next 12 years. I mean, you got like Michael Parsons light, so the Jets might be in trouble going up against him every year, every twice a year. But yeah, I had him, Doe Carter, Graham. Um, so yeah, I definitely think those guys make a lot of sense for the Jets moving forward in the draft.
June, you want to go?
My man Antoine, how you doing there, brother?
I'm all right. How you doing? I'm also throwing Jelon Walker too from Georgia, so that's also a name to keep an eye on.
Cool.
I, I I think you need to help some of my Jet fans out and let them know that you know next year we're not going to be on no competing thing. It's about evaluating the team next year for the new regime. Am I right?
Yeah, it's no expectations. They just think
Thank
about
you,
it.
thank you,
Think about it
thank
like
you,
2021 and 22. That's basically
thank
I
you.
think it's gonna be like. It's
So,
Go ahead. What
so
are you gonna
wait a
ask me?
wait a second. Can I jump in?
Go
So
ahead.
Antoine, so I'm not. This is not towards you, but see,
it's,
June's
it's
round me
towards
up now.
me. It's
But
toward me.
Antoine,
I'm just let you know,
I'm
it's
not
towards
going to go to
me.
the games.
It's towards me.
I'm going to the games next year, and listen, I'm expecting. I want to win, man. I'm not. I'm not in for 3-14 again. Sorry, I'm not.
No, I get it. No, I
I get it.
totally get it.
And
Like,
how
but
are they going to sell the fan base? What are they going to do to sell the fan base?
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Go ahead. We
You
lost him.
can. You're trying to run this back.
Yes, he is,
No,
Antoine.
I'm
I'm
here.
so glad you
I'm here
asked the
now. Can you hear
question.
me?
Yes, he
Yeah.
is. Yes, he's
No,
trying to
Okay.
run it back. He's trying to run it back.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to have a convo here.
Yeah. You. So
I'm
so let me just get this straight. So, Petey, you would like to run this back?
I'm not saying run it all back because I don't think Mosley, like I love Mosley, but I think they got to, find somebody else going
Oh,
forward. I
I
think
would definitely.
Lazard.
I
Go
think I
ahead.
think they should resign Morgan, but I think you should also try to find a long
No,
term
I was
replacement
saying
too.
CJ
Oh,
Mosley. Yeah,
CJ Moses. Oh, not
yeah,
Morgan Moses. Okay.
and I love Mosley, but Lazard I think can go. I mean, I'm not. There's no way you bring back Reddick. Obviously, there's no way.
Yeah.
DJ Reed's not coming back. I mean, we know
Nah.
that. I know there's going to be changes. Javon Kinlaw is not going to be here, but Antoine, you don't think this team can win with a different coach?
What are we talking? We talking about when? What? Like get to the
Not,
playoffs?
not.
Maybe.
I'm not saying
He
Yeah.
Super
wants
What
to
are
be
we
Bowl.
talking about
competitive.
here?
Yeah,
He
I'm
want to be
just saying.
competitive,
I
Clint.
want to be competitive. I want to have a chance in December. I don't want the stadium empty. In mid November, and I never go on rants like this, but I'm Antoine. This season completely broke me, like
It broke him. It
Well,
broke
I
him
think
bad.
the last
down.
2 years. I think the last 2 years has broken a lot of people.
No, this year was
No,
worse.
no, it
This
broke
was
him.
worse than
It
last
broke
year,
him.
Antoine.
It
This was
broke him for
worse than
real.
last year.
Yeah,
Sorry.
What was it though?
Yes, yes,
trust me. This guy
yes.
right here was hurt. I'm telling you, he
Yes.
was hurt.
I'm just speaking as a fan perspective, and this is not about me, Antoine, but this team completely broke me this year.
Yeah, I knew the team was overrated. I didn't think they were 5-12 overrated though. I thought they were more or less like a team that would barely miss the playoffs. Because I mean they had issues. Like I think even if they kept solid, I still don't think they'd be a playoff team. I think they might have won 7 or 8
Thank you.
games.
Thank you. And see, this is why I love when you, because I'm trying to let them know they were more than just a coach away.
Correct. Correct. No,
Thank
it's
you.
the
Thank
now
you.
following is not now that's not to say that firing Salah was the smart move. Clearly it was not. But that pretty much that pretty much was a wrap after that. Like because you in NFL like firing coaches mid season very rarely works out. Because I knew then I was like this is a mistake. Like at the 2-3, I could see if they were like 2-5, then I would say okay, I understand why you're doing it. But 2-3. Yeah, but I don't think their problem was like it wasn't just coaching. And even Salah had coaching issues himself. So again, like I don't think they're a playoff team, even if he had stayed. But I
Yeah.
think they would have won. I think it would have been games they probably would have won.
Okay. Yeah, because Antoine, I didn't pick them to win the division this year.
I didn't either.
I
I was
was
one of the
getting,
few people that didn't.
yeah, I was getting killed by my own fan base. Oh, you're sucking up to the Bills. Pause. No, I wasn't. I just didn't
The
think they would.
Bills
Right.
are the standard in the division until proven otherwise. So it
Right.
ain't nothing wrong with picking them at all. That's the way I
So
viewed it. Okay, they had the better quarterback. They had the better quarterback. Say what like I mean, say that we want to about Aaron Rodgers and his career is set, but Josh Allen is playing at a different level right now.
beyond Antoine, I'll tell you what. God forbid if something happened to Josh Allen, I think he's a Hall of Famer right now, almost.
Oh, I won't go that far.
I won't either. I won't either.
I think Mahomes is the only quarterback right now that could probably say that outside of Aaron. Obviously, but yeah, I think definitely and Russell Wilson. I'll throw Russell in there. Although I kind of put him in the Donovan McNabb category. Although he does have a
Mhm.
Super Bowl ring.
All right, so let me rephrase that then. The way they're projecting, you don't, and I'm going to throw Lamar Jackson in here. To me, Josh Allen and Lamar are both Hall of Famers when it's all said and done.
I think they will be, yeah. I don't know if
Okay,
they are slam dunk right this minute, but I think they will. I think Lamar possibly with 2 MVPs, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think he could. I think he's entering that territory. Mahomes definitely for sure. Like Mahomes could play. Could retire right now. He's going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot already.
fair enough. All right, so going forward with this,
But to your point, yeah, I know you're upset. I know you want to
Yes,
win.
yes.
I know
Please
people.
tell him.
I know that's going to be the case, but I don't think this team is
No.
it's construct. I think this team needs to be like not completely tore down, but it needs to change, have
Say
major
that.
changes.
Go ahead. Say, well, no, 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 no. So you see what you about to say.
And
Tear it down, right?
no, I don't think they should completely tear it down. No, but the cap they don't have a
Sorry,
great
GA.
cap. They don't have a great cap situation, and then a lot of veterans are going to be gone because remember they signed a lot of people to like short term deals. So
yep.
this roster is going to be very different than what it is next year. So
All right,
I,
Antoine, if we had, okay, so we're playing guessing here, real quick. Is Garrett Wilson on the Jets in 2025?
I'm gonna reluctantly say yes. Although
Reluctantly?
I am not confident saying
There you
that,
go.
but I think I would say so because you don't give up on talented wide receivers like that. Even if they say they have no interest in signing a long term deal, I think he'll be back. But I say it reluctantly.
Okay. Mark, do you have anything for Antoine? Because I'm going to wrap up soon.
Yeah, I mean, oh my
June's got
God,
me riled
I'm
up.
Jude's.
sorry.
I
Hey,
I'm
know.
sorry to
hey,
bring
hey,
down the mood
hey,
here.
No,
hey,
Antoine.
hey,
Wait,
Antoine,
wait, wait, wait.
they
Wait,
call
you're
me
not
Doom
Antoine.
and Gloom June now. I don't understand why I got this nickname, but I just see it as being realistic, and you just agreed. So I don't understand. I just want to temper expectations. We're not going to be competing for no playoffs.
Jude, can I
Just
ask
look.
Antoine a question, please?
Sure,
All
you can.
right,
Sure, you can. Sure, you
before
can.
more of
I
the
love
tear
this.
down
I, I,
talk.
I love this.
Let me hear Mark's question, and then we
I
can
All
get
right,
love
into it a little bit more real
all right,
quick.
Antoine. Here's my question. So, of the 2022 class, who, in your perspective, is the odd man out? It doesn't. You said reluctantly about Garrett, but who really is the odd man out in that class? If you had to
You
pick
mean like
today,
who's not going to get an extension?
yeah, who's gone?
I think Brees stays another year, but I don't know if he's going to stay there past 25. So I guess if you're talking about it that way, then I would say him. But that's just spitballing because I don't know what the system. I don't know what the new system's going to be, and maybe a lot of things can change. But if you're forcing me to pick Eston right now, then I probably would put Brees Hall.
Is that are you basing that based off of, let's say, positional value, like a running back is a young man's game? Drafting, they picked two guys in the last draft, so
Oh, a
cycle
combination, a
through
kind
his
of kind of a
contract.
combination,
Okay,
a combination of a lot of different things. And of course, he wasn't necessarily the happiest over the season too. So, and yeah, you could get running backs come a dime a dozen. So, and I think this year, I mean, you got some good running backs this year too. The Jets shouldn't take any of them because then you're gonna find another issue. But I definitely think even in 26, if you want to draft the running back, I think that would be fine. But yeah, I think if you're forcing me to pick a guy, then it'd probably be Brees Hall at the moment. But again, like Garrett's unhappiness, like, and I've been talking about it for about a year now. It's just something to keep in mind and to monitor.
all right. And the second question before June and the tear it down talk continues. Um, I know it's too soon to be asking this because we don't know what the front office looks like. But what is your drafting priority for the Jets heading into the draft?
Oh, I mean, what positions would I address?
Yeah, position's fine. It doesn't need to be a player.
Okay. I mean, I could be here to talk about players all day, but I think I like a dude Carter. Like again, like I love the guy, but he's probably not going to be that seven now. But I think they need to address pass rusher. I know Jermaine's going to be there. I expect him, and I tweeted this out the other night. I was saying Brandon Graham has the most sacks coming off of the Achilles injury with 11. I think Jermaine could, challenge that. And he's a guy that's very motivated, self motivated. And I think that'd be something that he would, strive to get to. But, it's never a bad thing to have as many pass rushers, especially if, a guy coming off an Achilles injury that you definitely want to make sure you have another one just in case he gets off to a slow start. So pass rusher, defensive tackle, depending on what kind of system they run. Alongside Quentin Williams, assuming it's like a 4-3, I think is an option. Cornerback, because I think they need somebody opposite Sauce. You can let Michael Carter the third just do his thing in the slot. And wide receiver, you definitely, especially if you're not bringing Devontae Adams back and Alan Lazar is going to be gone, whether Garrett's back or not, I definitely think you want to address that position. And tight end. So again, like a guy like Tyler Warren, who I really love. I'm not saying he should be picked to seven, but he is a first round talent, and he can really do it all. If you watched that Penn State Notre Dame game last night, I think he is tremendous. And different tight end than Brock Bowers, but one that's effective and probably more like a George Kittle, Gronk type.
Antoine, if you're ejecting, let's say Rodgers isn't back, and now we're talking about trying to develop and create tools for a young quarterback. I was talking about this before you got in here. I mean, a wide receiver one, uh, a stable running game, a
Yeah.
franchise left tackle, and a tight end in the seam, someone that's a visible target, and that's where Tyler Warren. That's I think the missing component of the four for a young quarterback. So that's. And sorry, Pete. It sounds like wide receivers was fourth in Antoine's list. I don't know if he was going top of the dome for it, but that's
Well, it wasn't like in order, but
gotcha.
it's just something like if the guys I would say you have a positional need, and then prioritize like what was the best available player. So if it happened to be McMillan, then yeah, take him. If he's there at seven, he's the best available player, take him. If not, if it's happened to be Abdul Carter or Brad, whoever, like then take them. So yeah, I think the Jets are in a position where whatever their position of need is, they can take the best available player, and I think they could be fine. They would be fine with that in this draft.
Yeah. Well, listen, Antoine, you could say how, it's just the way I feel as a going to the
Mm,
games
And,
and
and you're
stuff.
100% correct.
It
I'm not
it
disagreeing with
sucks.
you.
Right. And, if that bears the barrel that you're telling me negative news, then so be it. It's the way I feel. And listen, I want to go into next year and I'm not projecting we're winning the Super Bowl, but I want to win and I'm tired of losing.
No,
And and is a coach going to come here? Is this a desirable job, Antoine?
yeah,
Is it?
yeah. I
Okay.
won't. I'm not sitting saying it's the most desirable job, but I think so. I mean, I think you got the market. I think you got an owner that's meddling at times, but Woody will let you do your thing. Give you some freedom there as well until he feels like you're not doing your job. Then he kind of takes it away there, which is not good. But yeah, I think it's some desirable. And if you win with the Jets, then ultimately then you're looked at as a hero of sorts. So yeah, I think it's a desirable job up here in the market because some people like being in the New York area and everything that comes with that.
I can only imagine. I know you probably can't admit it on here and don't comment. I can only imagine how much you laughed when you heard about the Brick Johnson ball thing and all that. Anyway, I had to say that. June, June,
Hey,
go ahead.
hey, Ed. Now it's funny because we used to all say that when you win in New York, you become a hero. But I'm starting to think different now because Rex did win in New York and took us to two back-to-back AFC championships. But you ask the Jet fans, they can't stand him.
Well, I think the ending didn't go well. So, I mean, he coached the Jet. He was the Jets coach for 6 years. Two of those were very good, but the back half was not. The four seasons after that, I think he went 8-8. Um, another 8-8 season, and I know he went 4-12 his last year with the Jets. So that kind of, I want to say, completely wiped it away, but it really it wiped
Tarnish.
away. Yeah, it definitely tarnished a little bit of his luster when as being the Jets coach. But even then, like some people still want him back. Some people just love his love for the Jets and his
Yeah, yeah.
enthusiasm. But yeah, I think the last 4 years were pretty rough for the Jets too. They were kind of, I won't say an afterthought, but a lot of people just bring up the butt fumble and whatever, and that's fine. But the Jets had opportunity to make the playoffs in 2011, and they didn't, and then everything just kind of fell apart from there, from what I understand.
Now let me ask you a question. If you had your preference, who would you want? And let's leave Mike Vrabel out of
Oh,
it.
you mean in terms of coaches?
Yes.
I think it's gonna be Aaron Glenn. To be honest with you, I think he just makes the most sense from a culture standpoint. And as I talked about earlier, I think he's a program builder. Somebody that helped Dan Campbell build that program. The Lions were 3-13 and one in 2021. And
Mm.
then they went from that to 8-9, 9-8 in second year in 22, and then obviously they've been competing in the NFC and contenders the last couple of years. So yeah, I mean he's turned it around really quick there. He's been in situations where he's turned it around in multiple occasions, whether it be with the Saints or also now with the Lions. So I definitely think you want somebody like that in your building. So I think it makes the most sense.
Now I'll say this: out of 25 years of the man owning the team, 24 of these years have been with first-time defensive coordinators as head coaches. I mean, I'm just saying. To, that, let's try something different for once.
Well, who would you? Okay, who would you want? Because that has. Well, let me ask you this.
Boy, you
So
know,
It's
let
I
all
me
don't know
let
how
me
to
set,
ask you
answer that
this.
Antoine.
question.
All right, here we go.
Let me ask you this before I go out of here. Before I get out of here, and I'm gonna have out of all the people that have they've requested, I don't know, offensive minds, it's just not there. Cliff Kingsbury's not interested. They've not requested Todd Monken for whatever
Hmm.
reasons. So
Okay, I'll tell you who. I'll tell you, who. And
Ben Johnson's
has
not
to be.
interested, from what I understand. So
Oh yeah, of course not. It has to be in this pairing. I want Baganzi. I want Nagy, and his as his OC. I want Doug Peterson.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I mean, I could see. I mean, I could see Nagy. Although I don't think people would be very happy with that. But I mean, I could
And they're letting
possibly
up
see
40
that.
points a game, Antoine. I
Wait,
don't
wait, no,
understand
no,
what
Antoine,
no, no
June's
wait,
thinking.
wait,
wait,
wait, wait.
Antoine, how many people are buying season tickets with those names?
Yeah,
But
that's
but
not really gonna
but
move the
but,
needle. That's
but
not gonna
Paganzi,
move the
now,
needle.
Paganzi,
now,
Paganzi is very good though.
Yeah, he
He's
is. I like Baganzi. I actually do like Baganzi, but I'm talking about Matt Nagy specifically. That's not really going to move the needle. But
now,
what I will say though, before June chimes in, he did make the playoffs a couple of times with the Bears. So I'm not. I mean, I'm sitting here
and
saying it's a great hire, but
winning record,
yeah.
coach of the year, and also had Mitch Trubisky make the Pro Bowl. So I mean, so out of 4 seasons with
Well,
the Bears, he
we
only
won't talk about that, but yeah, that is true.
everything I'm
This
saying is
sales
true.
job is
Plus,
brutal.
plus in 4 years, he only had one losing season. So all right, I'll let you guys
That's
discuss
fair.
it amongst
That's
yourselves.
fair though.
All right. Well, Antoine, I know you got to get out of here. We're up against the space hour. I usually close at 10. But again, thanks for retweeting Mark's family's post. We appreciate that
Thanks, brother.
tremendously.
Definitely
And
appreciate that.
I will speak to you soon. Thanks for everything you do for the Jets fans, and hopefully we'll have you on when a GM and coach is found. But any closing thoughts on you think so? You think it's going to be Aaron Glenn, correct?
Yeah, I still think it's gonna be Aaron Glenn.
And
But
who do you think is going to be the GM?
if I had to pick, I'd probably go with Beganzi.
Okay.
And Antoine, thank you for tempering my host expectations, please, because they really want to make the playoffs next year, and I'm trying to break them. I'm trying to let them know easily, like don't look at this year like you're gonna be contending for a wild card. This is the evaluation year.
No, I get
New
it, man. And when you
yeah.
have not won since 2010 and made the playoffs, I get it. Like people are gonna be frustrated. I'm just trying to be completely honest with the
Yeah,
with the
this is what I'm
assessment.
saying.
Like,
I like honesty.
Yeah,
but no,
but
Like,
I
don't.
Antoine, hear me out real quick because my sister now is involved because she came to a couple of games with me this year,
oh
and now she
god,
wants. Well, yeah,
Uh,
now she wants to buy my. I have 8 and 4 year old boys, and there's 2 seats next to me open, and she wants to buy them for them. And my kids are saying, "Daddy, why do the Jets always lose?" You know the you know
oh my god, you gotta be laughing
the
at this.
no, but hear me out. The older one now, I'm looking at it right now in my living room has a Chiefs ball, and I'm gonna. She wants to bring him to the Jet games, but there's one good positive. My son did on Thursday night for his basketball team. He got number 5 for Garrett Wilson, so maybe that lasts. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe hopefully it does. But
You
no,
better, you better change that number.
I get why people are frustrated. So I'm not trying to temper that.
No, I
Like
know you're not.
I'm
I'm going to
just
be fighting with June all off season because of it. It's not you, Antoine. He's not going to drag you into my mess with him. So Antoine, thank you, man. You're a class act. Appreciate all your work, and I mean that, man. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Since you've been here,
Thanks, man.
you've been
Appreciate
beyond
you,
good
brother.
to us. So have a
You
great day. All right.
Thanks,
All right, y'all
Antoine.
take it
definitely.
easy.
All right.
Nagy.
All right, hold on. Can I say something now, please,
Yeah,
Pete?
and yeah, June. Thanks.
God, June. All right. How many people, June? You're relentless. All right, but
Yo, I
look,
love it. I
let me.
love it.
Yes, I know you're politicking on this, but I need to ask Pete some questions here because
Yeah.
we've had 2 reporters come in.
Oh
Well,
God.
we've heard from 2 reporters, I should say, in the Jet community. One gave a 30% chance of Rogers' return. The other gave a 15% chance of Rogers' return. Okay, I'm resigning myself to the fact that Rogers won't be back based off of that. Okay, now
Yep.
let's let the dominoes fall on this. So let's say we know that that's a package deal. So Rogers, Adams, Lazard, all gone, right?
Yes.
I'm just following. I'm
Mhm.
trying to follow the breadcrumbs here. Okay, that's next to the sequence. Okay, what is that? And I don't. We don't have the time to talk about it today, but what does
I
that
was
mean for
just
the
gonna
cap?
say.
What does that mean for the skill positions? What does that mean for drafting? Like, what money's off the books? What do they clear? Like, what? I have lots of questions now based off of that. I know we can't do
I'll
it
look
today, but
into
I want
that,
to put that
Mark.
to you, Pete.
I'll look into it, but it's a great conversation to have. I'm drained with it. June, I can
Thank you.
June, I cannot disagree with you anymore to this week. I
I
need to
love it.
I'm feeling better. It's all fun, June, but it's just way off and when I could yell, there will
Yeah.
be and this is not going to be staged at all. You can laugh
Yo,
all you want. I
this is
do
what we
not want
go.
to be interrupted with you because
Yo, I can't wait. I can't wait. You, Mark, everybody, CB, let's go.
so I want to hold on, let me get ground up here. Again, guys, again, appreciate everybody that's, tuned in today and the whole week. And thanks for helping Mark and his family.
Pete,
And
Definitely.
we'll be back next week.
Pete,
Yes.
don't let June bother you, man. He comes from a good place. And listen,
He's not bothering me. I just
you
think
got to
his takes are
remember,
outlandish.
well,
No, no, no. Wait.
you got
Let's
to
go over
remember,
this.
you got to remember.
Can we just go over this
Last
real
week,
quick?
last week he said he wanted the Jets to hire Nagy and Bogunski. It's
Yeah.
Boganzi. You know what I'm saying? So like,
No,
Well,
well, I think you
no,
know why I think June wants Pagani
No,
because he's thinking like Rick Ross, like Bugatti. That's
No,
why.
but Petey, but Petey, but Bagazi's a good hire. He's a good hire.
Yes, he
I
is.
know. I
Antoine just
know.
told you that. Yes, and
Derek, I'm
absolutely.
not dissing June for that. That's one of his actual good takes.
But
No,
wait,
but it was
now,
a joke because he was calling him Bagunsky. That's what I'm saying.
he's
Well,
That was
always
and
just
my
trying to
joke
get a
with
man.
Brigatti with Rick Ross is the same thing.
Now, Jerry, and you just heard Antoine say that's not a bad pairing. So I don't understand. Like once again, we're getting a coach who actually won in the league before. We're not getting someone who had a losing record. We're getting a coach who did the most with the least amount of talent that he had,
Junior, you're doing
and
this to us again?
and, and
Really?
was the NFL Coach of the Year, and only had one losing season in 4 years.
All right,
With
June. I'm fine.
I'm just
Listen,
saying, I'm
June.
just saying,
I'm
I'm just
fine with
saying, Mark.
Borganti GM and Aaron. I know what I said earlier about two guys that know each other and the rest of it, and and also first timers. Because wouldn't this be Borganti's first time in the chair and Glenn's
Yes, it
first
would
time
be.
in the chair? So now you
Yes, it
got
would be.
two, and the Jets are
Right.
saying we want to vet in one of those two spots.
And Matt Nagy, boom, checks the box on that.
Yeesh. So now you're. I don't know, man. I don't want. I don't think. I don't want Matt Nagy's next. That doesn't move the needle for me, Pete. What do you think?
No, the reason though, I think Nagy will get into people's faces.
Yes,
I
he will.
do. I actually saw a clip yesterday. I'm going to post it in a little bit of Parcells. Yelling at somebody. Just maybe we need that, but I don't think we see a lot of it. And the players are just built differently today.
That's another fact. See,
Give
look,
me
when you bring up
Glenn.
something true, I can't argue it. But see, Aaron Glenn, we don't know what he is. That's a question mark. He's never done it before. Aren't we tired of that?
I'm not
Yeah.
excited about what Matt Nagy has done, even though he's done it before. I'm not excited about what that means for the
All
He
right.
team.
Let me.
won. He
Sorry,
Let me.
Pete. Go ahead.
won.
I already know what the uh, flip question will be. The upset of the weekend. I know June's going to say
Oh
Denver.
man, I
I
can't
know
wait to
June's
say
going to
it.
say Denver over
I'm waiting.
Buffalo.
I'm waiting to say it because my friendly Sean's is here.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
I'll
gonna.
say it for you. I already know it.
Yes, please. If you guys want, if you guys want to put money on an upset for the weekend, put your fucking money on Denver Broncos, Mile High City. Trust me, good defense and good coaching travels in the playoff. Thank you.
All right, June.
Uh,
Can you put earmuffs on for a second,
see,
June? Because he's been
yeah, I
wrong a
could
lot
hear.
this
I
season.
I could hear Mark even clapping back at you, June. It's really frustrating, both
I
of
love
us.
it. I love it. I'm the underdog. Uh, I'm the guy that no one wants to hear, but
Oh,
most of the time
jeez.
is right.
But
Um.
June,
Oh, good, Pete.
no. I Go ahead.
You're asking for playoff upset this weekend.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Man, I don't know, dude. I mean, would you really consider it an upset if the Texans beat the Chargers? They have a win difference between the two of them. Um, it would be. I think it would be a massive upset if the Broncos send the Bills home. I don't know what Bills Mafia will do if that happens.
Well, if
Um,
the
Oh,
Ste-
oh, I
is this
can't wait.
if the Steelers beat the Ravens, that's a massive upset.
well, I
But
would
they
think
also
that,
don't have
but
Zay Flowers.
well, I would think that, Pete. But I remember watching, a year or so ago, the Steelers or maybe it's 2 years, like the it's a divisional matchup, and I watched some of those pitiful play out of Baltimore when they played the Steelers. Like it was one of the worst games I think I watched. And I mean, I know whatever Kenny Pickett was at the helm, but it was just dreadful. And divisional matchups are different, and you build teams to beat teams in your division. So it wouldn't shock me really uh, if the Steelers beat the Ravens. I mean, it'd be a massive disappointment for Baltimore, but again, it's a divisional matchup. I think the big shocker would be if the Broncos beat the Bills. If they beat them, it's a clear upset.
Clear.
So that would be my pick.
Yeah, and I'm clearly upset with June, so I'm going to save this until Monday. Speaking of upset, guys, June, I love you. Mark, all the best. God bless. Thank you all for helping this week, and we'll continue to help. And you know, uh, big shout out to you, Stadium. For retweeting the tweet and posting that, and that definitely tremendously helped. There's absolutely a thousand
Frankie,
percent no
Frankie and
question.
Nick. Thank
Yep,
you, thank you.
yep. Especially Frankie and Nick. There was no question that helped. So, and you guys, you guys are the people of the space. So we appreciate you guys. And Mark, it was good to have you in a lot this week. I don't know if that's going forward. I know you're not leaving, but Monday you'll be in here, and we'll continue this.
Yeah, I expect me on Mondays, Pete. That's what it's going to look like moving forward. But again, in closing, a big thank you to everyone in here, Jets community, and folks. Honestly, uh, I mean, it's the Bills Mafia people posted and shared, and Lee Sean's in here. Thank you. Really, it's been. I'm floored. My family is floored by the outcry support. So really appreciate it. Thank you again, Pete and Jim.
All right, guys, have a great weekend. Go Jets,
Wait, wait,
and
wait, 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 wait.
hurry up. Go.
I want to thank everybody for my new name, my new avatar name. I just want to thank everyone for that. It took some time. I had to think about it, and I like doom and gloom.
June, let me know.
Yes, yes, Jerick, right now.
June and gloom.
Tear it down.
Doom and gloom. And Jerick, what is it again?
Tear down.
Tear it fucking down. Because you're not gonna be competing for a wild card team, a wild card place
Ha-
anyway. So why?
Have a good day, guys.
Tear it
Good night.
down,
Good
Jerick.
night.
Jerick, tear it down.
Tear it down.